We were trained in medical Qigong. Our teacher would say, your shoes, you're getting too concerned. Your energetic connection to heaven and earth is much bigger than that. We're connected through our Taiji pole, through our center cord of light that connects us between heaven and earth. It goes straight down through your byway, through your heaven's gate, through the top of your head. That's your antenna. And then your conductor is the body. God is so gracious that he's allowed us to experience the fullness without being such a nerd. Lack of divine trust is the number one medical disorder that I'll probably end up diagnosing in my medical Qigong practice, and that's in spleen. The Strait of Hormuz is named after the Strait of Divine Intelligence. The access point for divine intelligence, we've decided is cut off. No one can cut you off from that. Sometimes I'll put in a conductor for an electroculture system, and then I put it on a video or whatever, and a comment for it. This one is one that always sticks with me. Nature doesn't make straight lines.
Yeah.
I understand the sentiment.
Uh-huh.
And even something that appears straight to us is not.
Yeah.
Like as far as like a wire.
Yep.
Because if you get close up on that straight wire, you'll see that it has quite a bit of variance.
Totally.
It's actually going like this. It's just so small we can't perceive it. That's a perception issue, not a reality issue.
Uh-huh.
So then that becomes like, okay, well, just because I can't see it or I can't do something, I shouldn't project that out to someone else can't do something or isn't able to. Maybe that's my predicament.
Totally.
And with sentiments like that, it's like, okay, well, if I'm a part of nature, just as much as a rock, right, indivisible from God, and I made a straight line, perceivably straight, then in fact, nature does make straight lines because I just made one.
Yeah.
Now, again, we can look at it on the other side of that truth coin and see that it isn't actually straight. And I understand how energetics tend to move in vortices and spirals. That being said, it's a mentality, it's an outlook of dividing ourselves from nature and saying, well, what you did isn't of nature. So on one hand, we're like devaluing our position. And on the other hand, we're putting nature on a pedestal as opposed to being one with it, which is it's less exciting.
Don't you think there's something about, though, the ability to mimic what happens in nature as best as we possibly can is overwhelmingly the better approach to take? Like
Always.
even when it comes to technology.
Always.
Right? Okay.
Always.
Yeah, because then it comes back to like your intention and your understanding of the natural world as it relates to those intentions. Because like that's the thing with pharmaceuticals. This is a big, broad, sweeping statement that I'm about to make, but it's like it's based in the premise that the body is fundamentally broken and that nature's design is incorrect, but we can use some parts of nature with some things that we synthetically derive to enhance them and make them better to suppress these symptoms because we believe the symptoms themselves are the problem. And like all of that is flawed reasoning with respect to how nature works, or at least how I've come to understand how it works, you know? And I don't know. It's
very allopathic. Yeah.
Yeah,
Like, okay, we're going to look at this symptom and we're going to treat the symptom and we're going to pretend that's a holistic response to these issues.
Yeah.
Yes, certainly. So like, yeah, with energy, we find like you have a lot of talk about balance, let's say. And balance is great. Balance is this homeostasis. But it's the asymmetry within balance that moves energy.
Yeah.
So like, yes, yin and yang, the Taiji symbol, the traditional yin and yang symbol. The yin and the yang are looking for different pressure systems essentially in that visual. And we see that in the yang, there's a seed of yin, in the yin, there's a seed of yang, and so forth. But it's the asymmetry. Because before you had the wuji, the stillness, the two polarities here in this stillness. But to move electrons in motion, energy, electricity, chi flow, this requires asymmetry. So we're looking for
polarity.
Yeah, you're right. So we're looking for this asymmetrical, and it goes natural world, dirt, soil, people's bodies. It goes psychologically. I'm always looking for people that aren't the same as me. Like, don't think the same or I enjoy that because there's more potential difference. There's more possible potential difference or energy between dissimilar polarities or dissimilar ideas, disagreement. Then it just simply is a question of what are we going to do with that energy? Are we going to argue about it and kind of dismantle this energy? Are we going to implode it into creative force?
Yeah.
Are we going to explode it into argument?
Yeah.
And that often just comes down to the states of folks' livers, like What's your liver doing? How tuned is it? Obviously, I'd be the first to say, like, don't sleep with the phone next to your head. Take all these precautions. Be aware. But also, like my medical Qigong teacher would say, relax. It's just energy. Because the more we bind up that fear in our kidneys and the more we make ourselves a receiver for what I call the bandwidth of detriment. And we are a receiver, but for the bandwidth of blessings. And we have to be able to filter that bandwidth to some degree, and especially in this modern time. And a lot of it has to do with the percussive void, like your own void. Not so much what's going on outside of it, from my perspective.
Yeah.
So like we're the drum, and the outside world's frequencies is the drumstick. The drum matters more than the drumstick on what the sound is. So our organs are percussive voids. We have cells that are percussive. Nothing that doesn't have if you have resonance, you have a percussive void of some sort. So we're like a drum, and then we have as a whole, and then we have a smaller drums of the organs. And so we can go in, we can modulate these forms through energy, just how it's created in the first place, through energetic values, and tune the voids. Tuning the voids. That's how I see medical Qigong and farming. We're tuning these voids to where, not that what happens outside of that doesn't matter, but on the flip side of that, we also know that, like, okay, you project a healing frequency or play one over a speaker or whatnot, lovely. But what the resonance is inside that void is not the same as that frequency. It's a mean, right? It's an interaction between the void and the frequency. And the modulation.
Yeah.
So what do we have control over? We don't have control over everybody in the world, and we don't want to. We have free will, and that's God's design. But we do have control to some degree and free will over how we tune our voids. And so we can approach it that way, with a solutionary mindset.
You can also approach it like, as the proliferation of non-native electromagnetic fields is really happening at an exponential rate at this point, right? We can look at that as sort of a gift to see how well we can attune ourselves internally in the face of that. It's almost like
that. Yeah.
An analogy for COVID, that whole situation, schmovid, the fakery of all that. Was it a chaotic, traumatic situation in many ways? Yes. But it was also an incredible gift for those who realized that. It acted as a catalyst to force us to really get clear on our values, where we stand, what we believe in, is the way that we're interfacing with society conducive to our goals and to being healthy and peaceful inside of ourselves. Likewise, with all of these agendas, you could look at it from a very high level, or even just like sitting in this studio, right? So we have all these artificial lights around us. And yes, I wear these raw optics glasses when I'm sitting here because I tend to get some headaches, but it says more about me and what's going on inside of me that I'm not resilient enough in the face of this, because it comes back to a perception issue, and also, I would say, buying into false stories. And what I mean by that is, like, do we really think that God made us so incredibly weak that we can't withstand and still express vibrance even in the face of these things, or in the face of weather modification, or in the face of any of the other toxins and pollutants in our environment? I just don't buy that, man. Same. I don't believe it. And that's why you can have like a true, there's a lot of self-proclaimed gurus out there, but like a true guru who can sit in the face, he could probably sit next to a fucking 5G tower and be totally fine. And that's the thing, is that is the recognition that he is a vessel for the divine, and all of these things he's probably looked at as just more evidence that he needs to tune himself on the inside.
So perfect. Yes, I agree. When I was training medical Qigong, we had a lot of folks, well, how do we treat someone on, talking about, let's say, making contact with the ground. I wear tennis shoes.
Yeah.
I wear all kind of shoes. Sometimes I wear earth runners. Sometimes I wear tennis shoes.
Same.
Sometimes
I wear earth runners, or sometimes
I like
wear
to mix
Jordan
it
ones.
up. Yeah. You'll oftentimes find me in rubber sole tennis shoes.
Yeah.
Because I go into town, I run around, I do stuff.
Yeah.
It's just it's what I like. And you'll have folks who will say, like, what about your grounding? I'm not discounting that at all. Please do that. That's excellent for everyone. Yeah. But again, just like going back to what you're saying, we were trained in medical Qigong. Our teacher would say, your shoes, that's, you're getting too concerned. Your energetic connection to heaven and earth is much bigger than that. And even on a level of ancient techniques, we're connected through our Taiji pole, through our center cord of light that connects us between heaven and earth. That's why even—
So it's less about the feet, more about the dantian then.
Yeah, the dantian, and even connecting to earth through the perineum.
Oh, okay.
So it goes straight down through your byway, through your heaven's gate, through the top of your head. That's like your antenna. And then your conductor is the body. And then you have that point of ground through your perineum to the earth. And then if you wish, through your kidney 1 point and your feet, bubbling springs point. So there's these different modalities. God is so gracious that he's allowed us to experience the fullness without being we don't have to be such a nerd. Like, and I say that in a funny way, but like, we don't have to be like, I always go outside at 3 a.m. Like, that's awesome if that's your ritual. No, like, absolutely.
And there is some positive effects to it.
No, exactly. Yeah. Absolutely no disrespect. I mean, like, that's excellent. That's awesome. But I mean, to be so, like, I know folks in the Qigong world even who are really concerned if they see someone wearing rubber sole shoes. And like, our teacher would be like, you have to be able to treat someone on an airplane. So like, you're off the ground, thousands of feet. Like, that can't be your connection. Yeah. That can't be your primary connection.
Ooh.
Your primary, your day-to-day, your daily driver. Like, that can't be that. That's an energetic connection. And really, you're never without it. It's an awareness of it, and it's allowing it to flow. It's allowance. And that comes into the traumas.
Yeah.
That's when we enter into why doesn't it flow through here? Why doesn't it flow through there? With our organs being somewhat like resistors.
Yeah.
They need a certain energetic value and then pass it along, to complete your circuitry. And with every breath in and every breath out, that circuit is taking on a full oscillation, running through all your organ systems from the top of your head down through your feet or down through your perineum. So that's important. I think it's important to know that we're always connected despite our footwear choices. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like, that's you cannot take that away. You can choose to ignore it, or you can be in situations where it's hard to acknowledge it.
I think it's that too,
yes,
for sure.
That I understand.
Yeah.
But it not being there, from my perspective, is you wouldn't be alive.
100%, man.
Like, you wouldn't be there.
My friend Christian, I brought this up on the episode you were listening to.
I heard Christian get a shout out.
Yeah. Christian talks about it's creating the conditions for emergence.
I love that.
Yeah, I do too, man. When he said that stuck with me so much.
That one hit me too. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm like, wow, it really is about creating the conditions for God to emerge through the natural world, through ourselves, through community, through relationships, through whatever it is. That's what we're trying to do.
Like your garden.
Yeah.
You created a condition that was healthy. So we had wildlife.
We did.
And even though your agenda of harvesting a tomato or a melon wasn't as fruitful as you had hoped, you created an environment. And likewise, you can create an environment where animals aren't welcome, as you've seen in people who,
What he's referencing is in my old house, Kylie and I had some fruits and vegetables growing in raised beds, and half of our neighbors around us were spraying glyphosate in their yard and stuff like that. And so we noticed so much wildlife in our backyard relative to our neighbors, despite having these really tall deer fences, and half of our fruits and vegetables, if not more of them, were just eaten up by rabbits and other critters. And it was like frustrating, but also beautiful, because we're like, our garden is the safe haven for all these animals, given what everyone else is doing in their yards.
Yep.
But it's kind of frustrating that we don't.
No,
get to
I
eat
get
our
it.
food.
I mean, as a working farm, we experience that because we've been creating that environment for coming up on 15 years, and working it every day with our presence and being there. There was a decade plus. I'm sometimes bad with linear time, so I don't want to try to give like an exact date, but there was a decade plus, closer to probably 12 years, where none of us spent a night away from that property.
Wow.
And to say that was never like the plan, but that's what happened. Farming for a living, farming to pay for everything that you do is a different
You're reaching
world.
A certain type of yield. Like that, it's different. You can't just like, this is a fun thing. It's like, we need to reach this yield.
So having that paradigm and coupling that with creating environment, because I have farms around me that are, big farms spraying stuff. Not the worst, thankfully, but even just like fungicides and stuff like that, even if it's not Roundup, you know what I mean? It's still like it's taking things out of balance. It's chemically changing other processes. It's a lot of unknowns along with what we do know. So it's like just kind of chaos. It's entropic. And so we have, and then one of the properties next to us was logged at one point. So a lot of stuff going on around us. And we've kind of been this like anchored in spot. So now, or not now, but for some time, and it's just increasing. Like this year, my wife and I, Tracy and I, keep seeing more. I mean, this year it's gone insane. And I'm not sure if it's because of what some other folks have done that I just don't know of. But it's like kind of overwhelming at this point how much wildlife is there. And in the same respect, like we have deer fence around all of our gardens, all of our big important gardens. Uh-huh. And they're getting in there somehow. And they didn't used to do that. They weren't so, and it's not because they don't have abundant stuff. Like there's quite a bit of forest and like most of my property.
You're creating such incredible conditions for emergence that deer are just popping up out of the ether.
Yeah. And like I said, high bricks vegetables.
Yeah.
So they, full of energy, full of ATP, full of cellular currency. And that's oftentimes, seen as sugar, but it's solar energy captured in sugar. So it's different than just sugar. But so they're after that energy, and they're after that peacefulness. They're after they're after safety, and they're looking for a place where they can express their fullness.
Yeah.
And so it seems that they're mostly moving into to our farm. Luckily, it will still be a paradigm. We are shifting our farm this year, as in the last 2 months.
Oh wow.
From full production mode that we've been in for a long, long time, since the beginning, since day one, to primarily research mode and donation-based output.
Wow.
Which is something we've been moving toward for several years, but it takes a lot to make that actual concrete transition to where you're not like reliant upon selling the produce for top dollar to places in Nashville an hour away that will give you the return that you need to grow things, especially in those methods.
Are you primarily in farmers markets, CSA boxes, and then some restaurants?
So our first year or two, we did do markets. Quickly realized that wasn't the modality for us.
Got it.
Whatsoever. And so I got good restaurant accounts in the very beginning, and that was primarily what we did. And we did a CSA for most of that time. We haven't for the last couple of years. We've been in the process of really trying to, farming is one aspect of myself, one aspect of my wife's self. We have a plethora of interests.
Yeah.
And I also, a lot of the stuff that I do, everything that I do with the fertile current, which is the electroculture, and I call it hyperdynamic agriculture, because we're not refusing any of the resources. I refer to them as natural resources.
I like that hyperdynamic in that it's not purely strictly Rudolf Steiner
Biological,
biodynamic.
right.
Yeah.
And I work with the biodynamics crowd. I do the conference, like Jeff Poppins conference in Tennessee every year. Like I love that crowd. Uh-huh. Sometimes they don't embrace everything I do.
Yeah.
And that's fine. I love that actually. Like I said, I like difference. I'm fine to not be in agreement. I like oneness that does not require consensus. Like, I don't really want to agree. I want to be one with you in this field. Then we have more energy. Like, for me, it's a bonus.
That's the expression of polarity and the yin and yang, like you're talking about the abstract, the balancing force that allows for the creation of new ideas.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's oneness without consensus. We're not taking a vote.
Yeah.
Voting is not for me. That's not for free people.
No, it's not.
That's not for people who want to live.
Yeah.
To choose a master. That's wild.
That is wild.
Absolutely wild style. With full empathy for those who do, but that's what I think, And so I'm never looking for that. I'm never looking for that oneness, because I understand it's that asymmetry. It's the fluxing potentials that create life energy for everything, for people, plants, soil microbes, bacterium.
Can I share on that real quick, just
please.
My research into fourth phase water? So a lot of my presentations now, I tend to present Dr. Pollock's work and then some of Gilbert Ling's work with fourth phase water, just because I think it's that, and then Veda Austin's work have changed the entire way. Revolutionary.
Yeah.
And they're so complementary, one on the more, I guess you could say, metaphysical, if if you will, side of things, and one more on the physical science, chemistry side of things. And I was looking into it, and obviously the charge separation occurs when the water is next to a hydrophilic surface, right? So water-loving surface, and it pushes the positive charge of the perimeter. So any solutes, impurities.
Capillary action.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And as I was researching this, I'm like, okay, negative charge is potential energy in the context of this paradigm. Okay, what if you had pure negative charge, if that is potential energy? And as I was playing around with this, it's like you would have no movement. You'd have no possibility for movement. And it's like such a beautiful analogy for what we're talking about with the yin and the yang, the abstract, the opposing forces, life itself. Because God is stillness, and it's in God's true essence. Oneness in its true essence is stillness. But we're not here in this realm to experience pure stillness, maybe for some time as touch points to recontextualize our relationship to the divine so that we can breathe the divine through us into our lives. But that's not why we're here. Like the opposing forces are necessary for there to be actual action to occur. And as I was realizing this, I'm like, wow, what a beautiful analogy for life. Yeah, God is potential energy in its purest form, 100% potential energy, but you have to have the polarity, the duality, in order for God to express through it into physical form in the context of this realm. I was just
there you go.
Whoa, man.
Like nowhere where there's life or enlivenment will you find that to not be true in my experience. I'm not saying someone couldn't have a different perspective, but anytime I actually take a deep look into a process, I find that to be the case. You know, even in bacteria and stuff like that, you realize a lot of them are splitting off into subbacteriums, basically, and I'm probably not using the correct language here because that's not my field, but then one will be an electron donor and one will be an electron receiver, and it creates this, like you'll find that everywhere you look with water, with you know. What's so interesting to me about capillary action, especially in the soil.
Can you describe what that is for the people who don't know first?
Sure. It's in essence, it's where water flows through tiny tubes, tiny channels, but it's a surface to volume ratio that creates an electrostatic response. And it produces a voltage as a negative charge voltage that organizes the water into crystalline structures. It's not truly like a gel or something. I think you know what, this is my opinion. Mm-hmm. And me and Topher talked on this recently. I think the fourth phase was nascent water. So newly birthed water.
Okay. Yeah.
And then it gets like diluted, if you will, and becomes more viscous, like less gel-like. Mm-hmm. But I see because I've heard of situations where electrostatic capillary action was used and more water volume was deposited than was inserted.
Yeah.
So that
it's literally creating new water.
There you go.
Yeah, I mean, that's what they say. Some people will say that your mitochondria creates water. I don't know about all that because I don't know about the cellular biology. I think a lot of that is assumption-based. That being said, I think there's a pretty good indication that like our bodies are actually creating its own water, which is why people I've talked about this too. Sorry, this is a brief tangent, but the Hadza people in Africa, my friend Brian Sanders, who lives here, spent some time with them. And the thing that stuck out the most to me in him relaying the story of spending time with them, obviously, like they have no modern illnesses. Their palates are perfectly formed. Like they're eating of the land seasonally. Like it's a no-brainer for them. They have no other choice and they're perfectly healthy. But what stuck out was when they would go on these long, like 6 to 8 hour hunts where they're like running for periods, waiting, kind of hiding behind bushes and stuff like this. He's like, dude, they barely drank any water. It's like, that is so interesting. He's like, meanwhile, me and my other guy who are coming from America are freaking dying. We're like asking them, hey, we need water. This guy's about to pass out. And they just stopped real quick, found a leaf or something like that, or like a little, like a puddle.
Some dew or something. Yeah.
And like, okay, took a sip and then kept going.
Yeah, it's that real code red right there.
Right. And for me, it's like they're so connected to the natural world, so unbelievably connected to the natural world that they don't have to have the water turnover that we require by introducing more input of water because their machinery inside their body, for lack of a better term, is so efficient at creating this new water. Yeah, exactly.
I think that's correct. And we could look at that as like genetic adaptations to modern worlds. But at the end of the day, it's more efficient energy systems.
Yeah.
And I mean, that only makes sense. I think the idea, and I'm not dividing myself from the paradigm, but I'm saying that we need like so much water all the time. It kind of feels a little bit like, is that ideal? Like, is that what we're supposed like? And I'm not of the idea that we should like never drink plain water. Like, I love water. I'm just saying like,
Dr. Cowan drinks 1 glass a day though.
Yeah.
I'm like, and he's pretty hip to what's going on.
Yeah, right. So there's such truth in there. It's a huge field that I think is untapped as far as like nascent water and how water is really made, new water. And it has to do with why it's an inexhaustible. Now, I'm not saying it can't be misappropriated or used inappropriately or for inefficiently, but it does, ultimately, it is never ending. It's like, it's always making itself. It's a dynamo. Yeah. Water's like a primary dynamo. And so, that capillary action, I mean, I'm in our veins and our vascular system that's happening, and it's like we have all these little dynamic energy making mechanisms in our biology, from piezoelectric charge, from putting pressure on bones with muscles, stuff like that. Always releasing little bits of energy through stress, through tension, through asymmetry. With farming, it's the same way. We have, people know the importance of worms, of earthworms. Yes, they aerate. Yes, they deposit vermicompost. Yes, they have all these great things, but they make the channels for the water, right? And they deposit chitin, which is a dielectric elastoprotein, like a dielectric material, on the walls of those holes, of those burrows as they slither through and make the channels. And it's that chitin, it's that dielectric that allows that charge to be built up, right, and accumulated and not just instantly dispersed. Mm-hmm. And then that's how we build enough the charge to get the nascent water. And it's this whole, the role that electrostatics and dielectrics play in like agriculture and in our body is so fascinating to me.
Can you just as a baseline for the people who are listening, watching, I do want to get into like your story of coming into farming too. Eventually we'll set that aside. I usually start with that, but it felt appropriate to start the way that we did. Can you talk about what it means to be dielectric? Topher's mentioned it a little bit previously on this podcast, but good touch point to
It's like, so it doesn't allow current to, it's not a good conductor, but it's a surface where charge can build up on.
Okay.
So that's essentially what it is. That's how it's clear to me to say it. So for instance, we can use that knowledge of dielectrics in agriculture, for instance. When we create these low voltage fields with electroculture systems, our farm before we had the systems up, we would get ravaged like every year by Japanese beetles, like all kind of crops. They really are really indiscriminate when they're in the United States. Mm-hmm. I imagine when they're in Japan, they have a very specific place. I don't like to look like pests are like I'm empathetic because I'm like, you're out of your element. Like I'm a pest in so many environments. So that's what I say. I'm like, I'm a pest. Like you put me in a spot where like, I don't know where to be, what to eat, what to do. I might become a pest. You might look at me as in the way or not conducive to your agenda. Or if I'm over there pushing poking the bear about something or running my mouth, I'll do that.
Yeah.
And it'll be inconvenient and I'll be a pest. But I look at insects that same way because I'm like, your ancestors, they got on some fruit cart from fruit box and came over here inadvertently, like without intention. And now you're here. So welcome. But let's work this out because you're eating all my stuff.
Yeah.
And like, I gotta pay for my stuff and like, we gotta work this out. Right. So like my Kung Fu teacher would always say like, the best block is to not be there. Right. Don't be there, when possible. Mm-hmm. So I look at like pest prevention like that, like create an environment where for some reason it's not their ideal spot without hurting.
Yes.
So, because I'm not a killer.
Yeah.
Like I don't kill stuff. When I'm sure I do inadvertently. I'm not going to get like, I'm sure I kill a mite and I sit down on, I'm not saying I'm free from harm, not at all. But I don't seek things to kill for my personal energy sustenance or anything like that. Like, and I extend that. Like, I don't want to do that. I have done it. I've done it all. I've decimated insects. I've shot more raccoons and possums than I care to admit in previous iterations of my farming. When I was early on, it was intense.
Yeah.
I'm not going to front. Trying to go from I didn't grow up that way. I didn't have a lot. The learning curve was steep. But I knew that's what we both knew, my wife and I knew that's what we wanted to do, to raise our child in an environment that we found conducive for raising a child. So we did it. And day one that we got to that property that we bought sight unseen because we couldn't even afford to travel around to look at property. So we bought this farm. We're like, that's where we're going to raise our son and grow vegetables for a living.
This is in California at the time,
Yeah,
right?
we were at the time. And so we bought it from there, got a great deal on it, moved there. And day one we pulled up and boom. So the struggle was real. So a lot of the things I did in that time, because I'll preface, I was not making use of all of God's natural resources. I was fighting some of them. I was overutilizing some of them. I was misunderstanding some of them. I was totally ignorant to some of them. And we can backtrack on this, but it wasn't until later when I was training medical Qigong and farming for a living that I was able to see this whole wide world in front of me that I was just not even tapping into.
It was all right there. You just couldn't see it.
Everything changed. Not just our outlook and not just the way we live day to day, but our yields changed. Everything responded. Wow. Everything responded. So, that was palpable for me. And it really catalyzed my movement toward utilizing those underutilized resources, energies.
Wow.
Values of energies, magnetism, electricity, prayer, all these things. And I was a very spiritual meta kid. I grew up in a very secular household and I was looking for God since the beginning. Always interested, always. I had such heavy experiences as a youth.
Where'd you grow up?
I grew up in Nashville, Tennessee, very urban, right next to downtown, in an area now that's very gentrified.
Okay.
And it's not at all the same, but East and North Nashville, no complaints. I had a good time growing up there. So I'm not saying it for that reason.
Were you the token white boy?
In some cases, yeah. In many cases, yeah.
Same.
Yeah. But I did not know that. I didn't know the difference.
Uh-huh.
And like we've discussed, I grew up spending quite a bit of time in the Caribbean. So like for me, I actually would feel more comfortable most often.
Yeah.
I honestly still will just openly say I feel like most Black families are warmer and more loving. I can't, to their own people at least, to their own family.
Real.
And real, man.
Real.
Yeah, and I don't say, I love everybody. I'm not,
Same.
I've found so much value in every kind of person there is. But that's just an experience of mine, like a very real world experience.
Same with me.
I got arrested as a youth and stuff like that, and my own family would be very cold toward me. And then my all my Black friends' families would be like so warm about it. And like let me know that it was gonna comforting and like based. Before I knew what that word was, before that word was like just and it's not exclusive. There's variance, and this is not a stereotype.
It's never absolute like that.
But this was my experience.
Yeah.
For Chris, this was my experience. So I was like a big affinity for like Southern Black culture in that way because I was like, man, like really warm to me, and like I feel way more relatable. And then there was other things, it's like your cultural things like music or whatever, like you have more in common. And,
yeah.
But that's just small stuff. But yeah, way warmer in my opinion. So yeah, oftentimes that was the case. But yeah, Nashville, Tennessee, born 1981. So it's kind of a timeline. I'm 45. And or by the time I was about probably 10 or 11, started spending quite a bit of time in the Caribbean, in Jamaica specifically.
How'd that come about?
Family, first off a visit there, basically a very short visit. Made friends. My mom made friends there.
Which island?
That lived there? Jamaica. Yeah, cool. That lived there. And very shortly after this, my parents got divorced. So it was kind of like this pivotal time, real tumultuous type divorce. And I was super sad, I'm sure. I wasn't like, that's not how I think of myself at that time, but in retrospect, at that time I didn't think that, but in retrospect, that's definitely hurting. And also just still looking for the way that I could understand my relationship to God and things like this, just seeking, man. I was always just seeking, and non-dogmatic, open, but not willy-nilly, if that makes sense, And my mom made friends there. I instantly felt like, oh my God, this is my spot, even as a young person, on so many levels, very deeply. And so after my parents' divorce, we went back. I feel like maybe my mom realized that was something that I needed. Also, I think maybe it was something she probably just wanted to go do something, and get away, do something. It was kind of something new. So we started going there and started just making friends. And by the time I was like 16, it was like I was there twice a year for long periods of time at a time. Started going up into the hills into Trelawney Parish when I was about 14 with my friend Hopeton in Cornwall, meeting their relatives, their 80-year-old father. Like I grew up, like I said, urban, no gardens, no connection to anything like that at all. Like my parents didn't grow a tomato or anything, and I'm not judging them, they just didn't do that. And helped my friend's father, who was like 80, on a hillside garden, growing all this food. And this is kind of the agricultural area of Jamaica. St. Catherine's and Trelawney Parish are like very, St. Elizabeth rather, are very agricultural. Okay. And right on the other side, this is called Bunkers Hill, the community, very rural, very small. On the other side of the hill, the mountain there, is actually a community called Occompong, and it's a maroon community. And what does that mean? Maroon? So maroons are it's a term. They're people. Okay. And maroons is a term that was given to them, and I think they adopt it to some degree or indulge it to some degree. I'm proud of it. Okay. But it just simply refers to a group of Jamaicans who weren't tolerating the imperialists and busted out, revolted, went and formed a stronghold in this more remote area, and were such a fierce force that the British Queen Elizabeth, I believe, ended up giving them this kind of like deal, which I'm sure was shady as all could be, and had all sorts of caveats. I know it did, actually. And so they were offered this kind of peace treaty thing. And because when I was in the 90s, when I was spending most of my time there, was a very tense time for political rivalry there. The JLP and the PNP, the two parties there, were funding different groups to war each other. They're providing guns and weapons, and this is very openly known now. But big massacres. I mean, it was a different place than it even is right now, and that it was before that. Probably the most tense time in the history of the island to some degree, in recent times at least, that I know of. And, Occompong was this community, this stronghold, and I was always told, like, yeah, you can go there, but like police don't go there. It's kind of a free zone. That's kind of how I was taught about it from my folks in Bunkers Hill, right across the way. Same parish, same county, if you will. And but I went over there, and I ventured over there and kind of caught a vibe, And at the time, they had this chief. It's a tribal community. Wow, it's a tribe. It's it's indigenous,
self-governing though. Like
sovereign. Yeah, sovereign nation of Occompong. Wow. Now the chief at that time was a different person than the chief now. Chief Richard Curry is the chief now. We email and I know him very little, but we're in contact. I think he's doing a great job. The chief before that, I'm not going to speak on it too much because I don't want to misspeak, but believe he was involved in a lot of corruption and keeping that community down through little backhanded deals with the Jamaican government. And so when they kind of said, hey, we don't want this treaty anymore, I believe recently, the people of Occompong, and I believe what happened, it's hard to really get a full clear story from this side. I'll be honest. One day I'll get to talk to Richard and really get the story. But I believe they said kind of like, nah, because the Jamaican government started sending Chinese companies into their region to mine for bauxite, for aluminium. So like bauxite is a big export of Jamaica, and anywhere they mine it, people get cancer. I mean, I've been taught that since the 90s, like since 92. Wow. My friend Junior took me into an area and showed me a big pit, reddish pit, and was like, that's where they mine the bauxite. And everyone in these houses around this place is gone. Wow. Dead. Wow. And from the same type of acute right after that type of stuff. So it's known that it's putting aluminium essentially in the air and you breathe it in. And I mean, that's what I understand. There's probably more to it. Yeah. I'm sure it damages the watersheds and all that. It's trickle down fuckery, and so
also just the energetics of that
100%, the extraction where it's just like, give me this thing, Same thing they're doing with the iridium in Haiti, big time. It's huge, and this is essentially all like kind of sanctioned through like UN type stuff a lot of times, and the companies that are doing it may be Chinese, but it's a worldwide effort 100%. To extract the resources of compromised areas or areas that they feel they can get away with it. Mm-hmm. And the Maroons aren't having it. They're a strong, fierce people that were like, nah, we'll come out here and we'll lick shots if we have to. Like we're gonna stand on our business. So they kind of back down because I'm sure they're just scared. I would be. I was trying to take anything from them, that'd be crazy.
Yeah.
Something you don't do. It's like ordained. So I think it's a little bit more relaxed at the moment, but like I said, hard to get the full story and it changes day to day. And that was an area, so in their most recent hurricane, that was a very strong hurricane they had up there. That's the region it got sent. And I'll say that very...
that it got sent, the weather pattern got sent.
I'll say that very specifically, intentionally, yeah. Those storms don't travel like that, typically. And I'm not saying there aren't variances, but there's patterns with weather.
Yeah.
This was weird. This went around where it normally would hit like Portland, St. Thomas. Those are parishes in Jamaica. It swooped around and then went straight up through the center.
Kind of like what happened with North Carolina a couple years ago.
Boom. Exactly.
Same type of thing.
Stuff that just is like, what?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
Like those areas aren't set up for that as much as other areas. And so it's kind of clear to see. I think they might have tried the year before with that other hurricane and not been as successful or something, or maybe it was a two strike a deal. But that area got hit really hard. So like they're definitely like rebuilding a lot right now. So like anyone interested can look that out.
Yeah.
Akampong in Trelawney Parish, Jamaica, and reach out if they feel inclined to. But yeah, it's an area that's very strong, very important. And it definitely was influential on my mentality. Like that whole community in Bunkers Hill, because they kind of carried some of that mentality too. It's the same little pocket.
Was the agricultural piece of it like the most influential, you think?
Well, the agricultural, but the attitude toward I guess the government.
Yeah.
Toward
So you were voluntarist before voluntarism was even a thing in the zeitgeist of the truther community, basically.
It's always been hard for me to do anything that wasn't voluntary.
Yeah.
Like I even myself, I'll even be like, tell myself something, like, don't boss me. You know what I mean? Like that, like you're bossing too hard. Yeah. But no, I mean, not to like a ridiculous point, but like, yeah. Like I don't, just as far as like not really wanting to be led around.
Yeah.
If information
that's the culture of Jamaica in and of itself, but I can imagine in this place that's a self-governing place within Jamaica, it's like... Yeah. So you always had views on Babylon.
Like, big time. Yeah. I was taught about word sound power when I was about 10 by elders. So a lot of this information, I don't want to pigeonhole it.
Yeah.
But it comes through this Melchizedek priesthood, this whole thing. It's like there's this, and then it's like diaspored, and all these different cultures have this same information. And it's like this original, like, I just use that term kind of blanketly, but this original like divine order from God that is carried through these ideas, principles, maxims of our realm, and like word sound power. And at first you think, oh, what you say matters. What you say affects people. The sounds carry a vibrational energy that affect matter, right? So that's that. It kept extending out what that meant. Word, sound, power. But some of these concepts, like that's a modern concept. That's discussed heavily in today's circles, right? Especially in the circles that we might find ourselves. Yeah. The power of language, how it affects water, and we're water. I mean, all these concepts, ubiquitous. When I heard that when I was 10, it was more like, oh, what you say carries a vibration. And then you just see that lesson get deeper and deeper as you get older and have more experiences. You're like, okay, they didn't just mean it like this. There's layers. There's an onion peel here. Like, but a lot of the concepts that are really kind of like taken off were very fundamental in Rasta culture. Now, I don't want to say that as one thing either, because within that you have many, 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 many factions. So that's a very generality. Yeah. But in the 90s, it wasn't quite as splintered. I will say that too. It was a slightly more unified movement than it is now. The epoch of this time has just allowed for so much sharing of information that I believe that it's just, for better or for worse, caused a lot more splintering of ideas. And a lot of those are great. Most of them are great. I mean, it's different nuances or perspectives of things that have been around forever. But in that, I think you have a lot of splinterings of what once were more unified groups, just because they realize new information, or they take in information that makes them think differently about something, and some faction is like, well, yeah, we're still on that, but like this.
You see that in the health freedom space. You see that in the freedom space.
That's what I mean.
See that,
it's
in the consciousness space. Like there's so many different splinterings, and it's like, rather than taking an oppositional stance within any one of those threads where it's like, this is the way and all of you have it wrong, it's like, I tend to, I'm not perfect, like to look at it like, oh, look at all the different unique perspectives on all of these different things. Cool. Like, that's why I love doing this podcast, because I can banter back and forth with people who aren't exactly in line with me on everything. And it causes new ideas to form in my head and see things in different ways, man. It's cool.
It's our asymmetry.
Yeah.
That drives it.
Yeah.
I mean, water moves from asymmetry. Water flows through geology and natural river systems. Each side in Chinese medicine, it's taught that one side is the yin bank and one side is the yang bank. The yang bank will have some sort of paramagnetic rock like basalt or granite, and the yin bank will typically be something like limestone or gypsum. And there's a flux and magnetic phase that pushes. It's called a back EMF, a back electromotive force. But that's Lenz's law in physics. But it pushes water. Water's pushed. Like the electricity or the electrons are moving one way and the current's moving the other way.
Yeah.
It's a back force. Like it's the same way with like magnetic north versus directional north. They're opposite. So like when you align to magnetic north, your compass will read directional south. So it's these back electromotive force ideas that you keep seeing them when you get into like the energetics of the body and of the land. You know, all fields.
I want to go back to the Jamaica thing real quick one more time, because I know that was formative for you. Well, I heard from Chris Crutchfield that you had a lot of experience in Jamaica.
Oh yeah,
like life experience.
All of them almost.
Yeah,
All of them.
I don't remember exactly what Chris said, but he said some wild stories from you from Jamaica.
Yeah,
that were formative for you.
I've been when I started going there pretty young, and I was pretty like independent there. So like my mom didn't go the places I went, and I didn't go the places she went.
So you were a free range kid.
I was
within
free
Jamaica.
range.
Yeah,
it was kind of nuts.
Yeah,
truthfully, it was wild.
Well, especially as a white kid.
She's naive to a fault, and God love her. I'm just saying, I went places that I probably shouldn't have gone. Like I spent a lot of time in Salem, which is a massive tenement ghetto.
Oh wow!
I mean, it's thought of as like one of the gun violence capitals of the island.
Oh damn!
Even now, but especially then, that was the wildest time.
Yeah.
Like what's there now is not the same. It's way more chill from my understanding. I have good friends who I talk to all the time that are there. So I have my finger on the pulse a little, as much as you can without actually being there. And I stay tuned to the culture, like musically and all the different stuff. I'm very interested. But yes. So
he said something to do with farming specifically.
Yeah. So I helped my friend's father, who was like 85.
Yeah.
Who was trudging up and down this hillside farm, basically giving me my first exposure to any agriculture. And it was a great first exposure. And I started helping him because I was just kind of up there. I didn't have a job. I didn't have any money, but I didn't have a job. We didn't really need one, and we didn't really need anything. We had water, we had food, and like we had enough like network clout to like move around. You make friends. You make associates. It's like that's it. Like that's your network. And so I loved it there. I planned to stay forever. Like I actually moved like relocated there when I was 17 to like permanently be in Bunkers Hill, help my friend's dad every day. And I didn't stay forever, obviously, but that was my plan. Like I was very content to just be back there and live that life. I was drawn to the agriculture, but I didn't know how to, I knew how to do the motions I was taught. I knew how to do the helping, but there was so much core information that was like, I wouldn't know how to start this project. I know how to help him. So I didn't really get like an education on it, but I got a feel for what the day-to-day might be like if you were a small agrarian farmer. And I was drawn to it. I had actually said when I was like in 10th grade, we had to like write a paper on what we were going to be, profession-wise. I was like, oh my gosh, that's crazy. Hopefully by then I'm so different than now that I have no idea. I'm always hoping that like my 6 months from now rendition is so much different or better or refined that I'm like looking back and being like, man, I kind of sucked.
That's incredibly wise as a 10th grader.
Well, I knew, I thought it through. Like I thought it through. And I was like, what could I tolerate? I knew I couldn't tolerate someone just like telling me what to do, like another man. I knew I couldn't tolerate like being inside of an office or something like that. I'm just thinking through the generalities in 10th grade of what are the general professions. I was like, I grew up around tradesmen, but kind of also I didn't like the life. I didn't see it done in a way that made it attractive to me. Now, since then, I have seen it done in a way that it's different. But when it becomes like a real burden, your chore, your the way you make your money, the way you live, what you do all day is not bringing joy or bringing fulfillment. Man, that was a hard one for me. I knew that wasn't gonna work out. At that age, I knew 10 years old was a big age for me. Like a lot of things happened. I was like unfolding very quickly. The world was unfolding. And I was like, oh, okay, I won't be able to tolerate that. What could I tolerate? I did not know a thing about agriculture. Never once thought about farming anything. And I came up with that I would farm because I would be at least outside doing something that I felt like wasn't war or killing or destructive, providing a service, which is, food. This is before I thought food could be also medicine. So this was just baseline, people need food. So I kind of came up with farming. I was like, that just seems like what I'd be able to tolerate. And so that's what I said in the paper. And then gave that paper in, never once thought about farming again. Totally let it go. Like there was never a time when I was like, I'm going to farm one day. Never. We had our son in California or in Tennessee, but then found ourselves back. We moved back to California. There's 2 moves. And in that second time being back there with our 1-year-old son, 1.5-year-old son, trying to figure out our next life move, we were kind of like, I was like, man, I just feel called to like buy a piece of property back in Tennessee. It's affordable. California was not affordable at that moment, especially. And I didn't really want to be there anymore, And so we bought it and moved there and started farming. But until those points in time, until that point, I had never thought I'm going to farm. That would almost seem like, especially like vegetable producer, that type of thing. Mm-hmm. Maybe some sort of specialized orchids or something, something exciting and exotic. But Jamaica, most of the experiences I believe Chris Crutchfield was referencing, we spent a bunch of time together recently and traded stories and at my home. Had fun. A lot of the things that happened there were more like life moments where you learn about the nature of human beings.
Yeah.
I had an experience when I was like 14. I used to go to this beach that was a very locals only beach, because it's really bad there now. They've taken the beaches away from the locals big time now. It's like a big thing right now. But even back then they were doing it. And so there were beaches for locals and then there were beaches for tourists, And so I would go to the locals beaches. We would cook food there. I mean, it was like my favorite place that was near like Mobay, which is like the closest city I would go to.
Did you connect with Eileen at all when you were at Confluence?
We got to meet each other.
Elementals?
We got to meet each other.
She lives part-time.
I know, she lives in DeGrill.
Yeah, okay.
Part-time, yeah.
Okay, that's just, we can talk about that.
No, that's why I went and introduced myself to her, so that we connected, made sure she knew that. I feel like me and her have future conversations.
Absolutely.
We were both busy. We were both doing our thing.
Totally.
She was overwhelmed with people wanting to talk to her, as they should be. And I was just like, we'll go catch up.
Yeah.
But we did get to meet. That was lovely.
Cool. But
I went to this beach where I'd go every morning, like at 6 a.m. or something, like real early, and swim in the ocean, and then just kind of sit for a bit and go back to the spot. Because my mom would stay in town and then I would often go off somewhere. But I would be around where she was sometime. And when I was there, I'd go to this beach and swim, just to preface. And coming out of the water, actually walking away from the beach, I was done. I was wrapped up. And this gentleman came toward me. And he looked like a ragamuffin for sure, but like whatever, And I'm pretty friendly, like people. And he comes up and he's kind of friendly at first, but I instantly knew that wasn't. I can feel the intent with like everybody in the world. Like it's just like, oh my God, here we go. This is gonna be something that's not cool. I could feel it. And where we were was kind of a hidden spot. You couldn't see it from the road. There's like a K of rocks. And I was up behind this K of rocks, like these big boulders that are made into like an artificial bay, basically. And I was up on these, we were hidden. And he basically whips out a big blade and then picks up a big coral-covered rock. And there's a big man, I'm like kind of still young. I'm like 14. I'm like, I don't have my ways about me yet, as far as like my physical confidence.
Yeah.
Like going through puberty. I'm like, oh my God, what's going on, And a little bit heartbroken that like this is happening. But anyway, he ends up holding me hostage, let's say, trying to get money that I didn't have. Like I would have given it to him. Like I don't even care. Like I would have been like, bro, here. I literally just didn't have it. And so he's thinking I'm lying. And I'm like, bro, why would I be down here at this beach even? Like, all the tourists are up there, like at Doctor's Cave and all these beaches. And he ends up holding me there with this rock. And like he kept doing this, like he kept he kept threatening and faking that he was going to smash it on my head, which would have killed me. I mean, it was it was intense.
Massive, yeah.
I was like pinned to a rock. He's got a big rock and a knife. I had a knife, but it was in my bag. He goes through my bag, finds my knife, takes mine. Now he's got 2 knives.
Oh,
I'm just like, oh, no, a double knife and a rock? Oh man, like this is getting—
not a good look.
And I'm just like psychologically realizing this is going to be a psychological issue. I'm not going to be able to really escape physically. So I was like, after hours and hours of I know people are wondering where I am, starting to get those compounded emotions. So I had to kind of fake him out. And I was like, okay, brother, like, I'll get you money. And I knew the area so well, and that's what he didn't know. So I knew where the buildings connected in these upper level transoms. And so I faked like I was going into a hotel. But really I just went up and went over a transom and down into the apartment building where my mom's friend lived, where she stayed when she was there. She stayed with a friend, like in an apartment, not in a hotel. And he just assuming, right? So I go up and the security there, you know, they wouldn't let a Jamaican guy that looked ragamuffin come in the hotel. And that's why I went in the hotel. I knew it connected to the apartment where he would have definitely been allowed to go. So he could have just gone in with me. So I went in there intentionally. Like I formulated this on the beach while I was being held hostage. Go in there, and then I go up to my friend's mom's apartment. Never told them what happened. They didn't really ask. That's how like feral things were, you know. It's been 5 hours or something. I was like, what do you? And they didn't ask. So I'm up there, and you can see from the window, I can see the man standing down there just waiting for his cash, which no one had. And even if someone, they weren't going to give it to me.
Yeah.
So like watched him wait down there for like 5 hours.
Wow.
He posted up, and finally he walked away. I went back outside. Never saw this gentleman again while I was there that time. Exactly a calendar year later, Christmas Day. I was always down there during holidays because it's like real fun. Like they have a street party. Everybody just goes outside.
That's so fun.
It's not a thing. It's like you just go outside and hang out.
Yeah, I love
with everybody.
That. Yeah.
And just do your normal hanging out, but just with everybody.
Yeah.
It's a lot of fun. One of my favorite days there. And I'm just in the sea of people, in the sea of Jamaicans, you know, definitely like only white dude. So it's easy to spot me.
Yeah.
And I get a tap on my shoulder in a sea of thousands of people. Turn around, is the man from the year before.
Wow.
Instantly, a tear comes down his eye. He embraces me. He starts saying how sorry he was, brother. Like starts like breaking down. Like I was so shocked. When I turned around and saw a man's face, more violence, you know, was coming or something, or some intense moment that was unnecessary. And the opposite. He went and he bought me a drink, like a food or something, made amends, told me he was sorry, told me that actually the day after he did that to me, someone robbed him. And then he ended up going into Spanish Town prison for 9 months for being involved. Like basically he had my knife blade in a place where it wasn't allowed to have a blade.
Wow.
And then someone also robbed him of his stuff. This all happened the day after he did that to me. And he put it together. He was like, He was like, I'm not sure why I got that so hard. Like I've robbed more people. I've robbed enough people. That's what he told me.
Yeah.
But he's like, after that, he's like, I realized that like something that I was doing wrong. He like changed his ways. Wow, he's like a reformed human being, not from the prison system, from the God system, from like the heart system. And,
a lot of people find the God system in the prison system.
Of course, because you're alone, you're there with it. So,
totally.
But I just mean in the way that he had truly like, he didn't care about what legally he had done wrong. He was like, I mistreated another human being.
Yeah.
We end up being friends, you know, end up seeing him for years, like been out of touch, but cool. Cool stories like this. So human nature, the full cycles that people can come from one place to another, like those types of critical human things seem to happen for me more there than back home. Not that they didn't happen back home. It's not like exclusive to there, but just a lot of big moments, like first interactions with like, you know, the opposite sex and stuff like this. All kind of like new things for me would happen there. And so like, it's a very impressionable, I mean, I'm hugely informed by the nuance of that culture. And then also just being a lifelong like reggae fan. And I mean, a big time reggae fan. Like intense.
That's awesome, man. That's cool. I know you're probably very tired of having people try to sell you supplements, and I totally understand that. When it comes to Heart and Soil, beyond a supplement, their products and their company and their values are very aligned with the way forward.
It is a bit of a misnomer to call ourselves a supplement company. We're a real food capsule company. We work on this energy principle of like for like, that you eat the organs that you want to support. Why would you want to support your heart? I don't know. Maybe you want a healthy heart as the vortex spiraling blood pumper around your body that's keeping you alive, or your liver because of the amount of retox and detox we need to do today, or your brain to lock in and have more of like a natural nootropic instead of leaning on more caffeine or more nicotine. So we have functional blends, most of which contain liver as the kind of hero ingredient, because liver is the most nutrient dense food on the planet. We lead the way on transparency and quality. Every single step is tested for things like heavy metals, mold, and microplastics from the cleanest pastures and cows that you can imagine. Go to heartandsoil.co, go to the particular product that resonates with you, that you're interested in, and just read these customer testimonies. You're going to read stories about resolving PCOS or infertility struggles that lasted years, and people would take our supplements for 12 weeks and get pregnant naturally. If there's not a better testimony for something in the world than that, I don't know what there is.
So if you resonate with the principle of like supporting like, and you want to provide your mind, body, and soul with the highest quality animal-based supplements, head to heartandsoil.co and enter code THEWAYFORWARD, and that's the way, FWRD, at checkout for 10% off. And if you'd like to learn a little bit more about Heart and Soil, I highly recommend checking out episode 249. We go into all the things related to Heart and Soil and the nutrients that these supplements provide you. Let's get into some farming stuff. So you had written down that you want to be a farmer. You sort of left it and forgot about it for a long time. Then you have your 1.5-year-old son. You're like, let's move back to Tennessee and let's buy a property and let's start farming. So how did that come about?
Well, I had always, had an affinity for agriculture, I guess. At this point, not always, but I had grown an affinity of the idea, because I want to work with the ground. I want to work with the natural world. I want to work with my body. I want to work all the different reasons why you might farm. I guess I saw it as, a noble thing to do, kind of like, especially when you're going to approach it from the beginning, organically, whatever that means to different people. Not certified or anything like that. I don't believe in that.
I don't think that matters.
No, it doesn't matter, nor do I believe in like paying someone who it's like.
In my opinion, it's more of a way to, again, this is always, every statement I make is going to be pretty general, or not every statement. That's a general statement in of itself.
Yeah.
Ironically. But what I'm about to say here is a general statement. But in most cases, people are seeking, or especially big corporations are seeking the USDA organic label so that they can create the appearance of we're doing things the right
trust.
way. Yeah. When in reality, the ones who are really, really, really doing it the right way don't give a shit about that label.
Yeah.
You know?
For sure. And even a lot of the protocols that are required for getting that certification even kind of inherently go against the ideas of that it's based on.
Yep.
They're very obtuse. They're very obtuse and weird.
Mm-hmm.
And like, I would, I don't know. It's not my thing. So when I say that, I just mean authentically organic. We're not going to use poisons. We're not going to use, use organic seed, all these kind of founding principles of at least what we knew to be the way, to do that. Yeah, I did markets for my first couple of years, and like I would advertise myself, and it's almost illegal to say you're organic without being certified. It's not really, I don't think it's enforced, but it's quasi like questioned. And then you'll have folks like potential customers who would come and be like, well, are you certified? And it'd be like, well, no, definitely. But I would let them know like, well, I'm not, because I inherently disagree with the process.
Yeah.
But even still, they would go in, like I did a farmer's market that was outside of a grocery store, which seems conflict of interest, but it actually worked out. Some of those people would end up choosing to go in the grocery store and buy what they were potentially going to buy from me. And then I would kind of point out where like, what I'm selling is more expensive. And there's a reason.
Yeah.
Because I have to actually like turn a profit on it. And we're growing it with the strictest methods, So now let me preface, this was my old mentality. I wasn't making use of all natural resources in this time whatsoever. So my mentality was when you grow organically, you're going to have all these kind of like inherent losses.
That's so interesting. I
Isn't
see that a lot.
That's it's such a. I wish I could unplug that out of like everybody's brain that hasn't, because it out of sympathy, out of like wish they didn't have to go through that process.
That's what you hear. Like, we could not do this type of thing at scale because we wouldn't be able to produce enough because
It's
inherently
so
there'd be
untrue.
more.
It's inherently false.
100% believe you.
All you need is water, minerals, and organic matter, compost. And most soils are viable, beyond viable, high production. I call it violent abundance. Because as a producing farm, you calibrate. You calibrate to your production level. Everything is set up to your production level. Your storage, your cold storage, your equipment, your baskets, your knives, like every little tool is like kind of geared towards your production level over a time, because you find your groove, right? In like 17, 18, 19, 2017, 18, and 19, like we crushed it. And then going into 2020, of course, all our customers like shut down, and it was like, oh, and we're violently abundant.
Wow.
With places saying, no, we don't want you to come by, basically.
Yeah.
Well, we would love to have the vegetables, but we don't, we're going to close down, or we're going to minimize the menu, whatever all kind of the silliness.
Right.
Just a large variety of silliness happened. And that was a big shift. But going back to the paradigm, my paradigm at that point in our first few years was kind of like, well, we're doing it this way. There's truth in that. There's truth in that everything you buy for those types of farming, all the inputs cost more. I mean, when you go buy a cheap chemical fertilizer from the farm supply, it's free practically, versus like alfalfa meal and rock dusts. And those things are just high dollar, as they should be. They should be valued with some sort of compensation, whether that's energetic currency, money, like it doesn't matter. Valued is all I'm saying. At every point in the chain, because there are natural resources that bring a lot more natural resources to availability, to actualization.
Yeah.
Right. Now, once we realized those things, my outlook on that shifted from like, well, you're inherently not going to do as well. Now I would tell you the exact opposite. Like, trying not to get on too many co-tangents here,
No,
but like when we started out farming, we were fighting those variables. We weren't utilizing all of our natural resources on any level.
Give me some examples.
Well, we were emulating what other organic farms did. We were copycats. Like we were like, oh yeah, for this you use these amendments. You use blood meal, feather meal, bone meal. You use, manure. You use all these things. And even just what you grew. And so many things are like cauterized in different subcultures and in like small scale market garden producer type. That's some of the terminology you might apply to a small farm. There's definitely like cults of personality that basically kind of become authorities, and then it kind of creates this domino effect of copycatism. And I'd say we fell right into that because we didn't know what else to do.
Got it.
And it wasn't bad stuff.
And it was working to some degree.
To some degree, we were yielding enough. We were, it was okay.
Yeah.
But it was also 120 hours a week for both of us. So 240 hours a week of labor hours.
That's a lot, man.
To make a very low amount of money at the end of the day. And even no matter what the money was, that's still a lot of like labor outside, manual labor.
Totally.
And so we've still never had an employee. My wife and I have always done it all.
Wow.
And our son helps, but we never forced him into trying to be like some sort of farmer by force. Doesn't work. Actually, I know those kids to be some of the most rebellious against agriculture later. Not that that's always the case. You find some that really embrace it. And that's, I'll be really honest, more the parents. I was fighting nature. So my son probably saw that, or he definitely saw that early on. He's seen the change. He's seen the evolution. He's there with us every day, all day. He's seen it all. But I'm sure that stuck energetically with watching your parents. And I'm not saying we were miserable people, but we had a lot of struggles. I mean, learning curves, financial stuff, trying to figure out how to sell things, figure out how to be good producers. It took about 4 or 5 years of learning and doing it every day, all day, and failing a bit and learning what works in our area. All these little things, micro variables, learning how we work together as people.
Yeah.
There's so much to it. This
is a good question, like especially for those who are listening, watching, whether they're wanting to buy a property and like start a full-scale regenerative farm. which I have questions about. I think you should probably start like as small as you can first and make sure that works, but like we can set that aside. Or you have someone who is trying to grow food on a balcony or anywhere in between. What are some of the common things that you were getting wrong, whether relationally between you and your wife, or you and yourself, or you and God, or just practical farming things that you were getting wrong that you now realize in hindsight, or that you worked out?
You want the big one first?
Sure.
I truly, wholeheartedly, with all parts of my being, believe and know for myself that what we were doing wrong was feeding the system that's based on blood sacrifice.
Wow.
Inherently.
Yeah.
That's what we were doing wrong, from my perspective.
What did that look like?
Using the products. Number one, we're
using blood meal,
bone meal, all feather meal, all the products, the trash of the very farming. A lot of it is conventional stuff, and a lot of the trash of the very industries that we said we were against, conventional farming, which is a lot of it. It's not all from organic farms. A lot of those inputs, they might say they are, they're not. On the other side of the coin, we're literally using the remnants of slaughter that was most certainly done systematically with maximum fear and lowest quality of life before and after.
See, this is interesting because this is what I've heard from other organic farmers, is that in order to be successful in this space without using the chemical fertilizers, et cetera, to reach a certain yield, we have to use blood meal and stuff like this.
Right. And that's what I thought too.
Wow.
Now, I haven't used anything like that for 7-8 years. I basically was ready to either quit growing for a living or figure it out. I was too much within my own conflict of conscience, within myself.
Yeah.
Not for anyone else. I'm not that concerned. Like, it's your journey.
Yeah.
Like, for someone else. Like, I'm not going to try to micromanage, but for myself, I was like finding a low point.
Got it.
I knew something had to change. So I said, well, let's see if we can't develop a raw rock mineral and vegetable waste compost system that will work good enough. I was ready to take the L. Like, I was ready to be like, no, I'll fail a little more and win inside. Like, I'll win with God and fail with Rome, let's go. And, but what happened was the exact opposite. That's when I coined the term violent abundance. It was like 300% yields, no pest pressure, not none, but very reduced, like dramatically reduced. I say 85% reduced across the board. All these metrics that like other producers will understand, like plant numbers, where we used to plant 3,000, let's say 3,500 tomato plants to meet a benchmark of production. We can now plant like 300 or 400. So that takes away so many steps. So now you're taking away labor hours too. You're not only getting higher yields, you're not only in phase with the will of heaven, in my opinion. And this is all perspective based. But
no,
this is my journey, and that's why. And now we're producing 300% with inputs that cost less and energetically last way longer, especially when you give them power supply. All our biology needs a power supply. We can call it electricity. I mean, it's the love of God transduced into electricity through sound and light, but we can give it names. The labels are too confining. The only true Tao is the nameless Tao. We give things a label and we start to limit them, but we have to talk about it.
Dude, you're talking about exactly what I struggle with.
Like, I see science as a language exercise.
It is, yeah.
So we can discuss the miracles of God with our brothers and sisters.
Also, we're using the English language, man, which is inherently limited, and that presents problems.
Right.
We're filtering like what we feel and trying to articulate it into language, which is a problem in and of itself, but then it's the English language.
Yeah. Like and even concepts like ether, it's like, I don't know that they're to be defined.
Yeah.
Rigidly.
Yeah.
We can take all the perspectives of ether and we can make some sort of kind of like overlapping Venn diagram and look at the vesica.
Yeah.
But like that still is what a lot of times people are discussing what something is made of, not what it is. The sun is not inherently just like gases. It's the proxy. I mean, it's the logos. Like, so like, what is it and what is it made of are two different questions.
My friend sent me this article, and this was an article written by a basketball player because he struggles to call himself, like to define himself as a basketball player. And he was like, you only give definitions to dead things. Like, damn.
Love that.
I got to send you the article. It's so good.
Yeah,
man.
living things are beyond the limitation of a label.
Yeah.
You know, and that's why there's, you know, so much arguing in the world, because basically people are usually debating over labels.
Yeah.
But the thing is what it is.
Yeah.
So, you know,
it's like that old saying that once you define something, what is it again? It's like once you label something, I forget.
I don't maybe know the exact quote, but I'm sure I'm going to feel the vibe of it. I mean, I know what once you start, I feel like I've heard it, but
Hold on, I got to look it up now.
Look it up.
Okay, so the quote is by Soren Kierkegaard. That's got to be like a Danish name.
Dutch, maybe.
Yeah, Dutch.
Guard of the church. Kirkus Church.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Good.
When you label me, you negate me. So when you label me, you negate me. That's what the quote was. But
you've totally limited that being to something inside your perspective. Yeah. Or the onlooker's perspective.
Totally.
So you're projecting your limitations onto another. It's
a paradox though, because like you want to be able to like express what's on your heart to other people, but then you have to use labels and names and like that's like this.
I think as long as we know that's what we're doing, it's the awareness that we aren't able to capture. Yeah. Like we don't want to dominate things so much.
Yeah.
Like I don't think like dominion in the Bible, for instance, I think that means we're responsible for the waveform. Stewardship. We're responsible for the waveform.
Yeah.
We're responsible for the tone that's set.
Yeah,
totally. And I think everything emulates humanity backwards. Mm-hmm. You know, even the animals.
Yeah.
So it's like once we change behaviors, so do they. And maybe we lead this ship in some sort of energetic phylum, but like definitely not like domination. You know what I mean?
So aside from this sort of blood sacrifice system that you were indulging into, what were some of the other things? And it's so amazing to hear that, by the way. And I don't want to make this a huge tangent about diet itself, but I do consume flesh right now, and I still struggle with that. And like, I've gone back and forth in so many ways, man, where my heart doesn't want to, but how I am right now, my body feels best when I do, but I still have some problems with that. And all that being said, setting my own personal thing aside, when I hear people in the carnivore, animal-based space say that it's impossible to be healthy in the long term without consuming flesh, I'm like, you're one of countless examples that that's not true. And I know so many people who've not consumed any flesh for 20, 30, 40 years and are doing just fine. And they're not supplementing with synthetic B vitamins and stuff like this. They're doing just fine. So it's not true.
For me, since 10 years old.
Yeah.
But I hear that. It's not a judgment thing. That's not, especially when you start doing that stuff from young, you kind of get through that phase of it early, of like judging others or thinking, like a kind of juvenile stuff, you know, or thinking like what other people are doing. Like it all goes into the collective field of energy, but we have free will.
Yeah.
Respecting that is paramount. Mm-hmm. I also believe that. So in this concept of potential difference, in medical Qigong, we have the concept of the Yuan Shin and the Jur Shin. And the Yuan Shin is your original spirit nature. It's always perfect in the eyes of God. And then you have this Jur Shin, which is like our acquired nature, how we've become through our experiences, good and bad, through our traumas, through our successes. We've developed this other. And oftentimes the Jur Shin is given a little more nuance of the things that we pick up that are negative. Mm-hmm. Not always, not completely, but let's say it's more corporeal. So, but within that part of, within your spirit, you have these two components. Again, we've kind of taken this one thing and we've kind of seen it as two phases to make a force, which is the spirit. So there's a potential difference between how you are now, well, for all of us, not you, but for all of us, how we are now and how we wish to be. And that's an electromotivation.
Yeah.
Right. There's a motivation. It pushes you toward God. It pushes you toward the source of all. It's a back electromotive force for the spirit. It's ushering something. So that conflict, as you maybe you didn't use that term, but that inner like, oh, my heart doesn't, but my body does. that's literally just an energy source for you to move forward. So it's like never bad.
Yeah.
It's never bad unless that's what you make it to be. Maybe.
Yeah. Perception. Again, perception.
Yeah. I see that, but I have so many things about myself that I want to change always. And I do change some of them, and some of them stubbornly don't change as quickly. But that provides, if you were just already like you just idealized yourself to be, it'd just be kind of lame.
It would be. It would be lame. That's like God. The point of life.
It's like science without God.
Yeah,
like it's lame as can be. It's like,
it's so
what a
lame.
boring endeavor. Like
that's the whole point of the hero's journey, man. Like that's what this is. That's what this experience is the hero's journey.
It's like I never like want my sentiments about what I think about that system to be taken as like an attack on individuals. You can be completely against a system and still completely loving toward the people who indulge that system.
100%.
That is so unnecessary. Yep. Like I can be totally against like trans agenda.
Yep.
And then still be loving toward people who are expressing that. Actually, maybe even empathetic, because you almost would feel like, well, if I truly did feel that was an agenda, then wouldn't I see you as the highest level victim of that agenda?
100%, man.
And want to extend that?
Same with doctors.
I can still say what I think.
Yeah.
That's allowed too.
Yeah.
But I don't need to treat you poorly.
No, exactly. 100%. And have more compassion for that they're a victim of that agenda, just like
on
doctors,
the deepest level.
Yeah. Absolutely, man.
It's like, it's seen like from an outside, from like another country than the United States, you know, like judging all the people by its political counterparts. It's like, that's not a true assessment.
No.
Like, and that's the case everywhere, at all turns.
Right.
Even communally, like you can't judge everyone with a community by the leader of the community or whatever. It just
totally.
Like,
I mean, I say that when it comes to Israel, man. Like I have my feelings about the Israeli government. That doesn't mean that I hate all Israeli people. No, and I get so frustrated with the people who are like, oh, kill the Jews, or like all the Jews are the problem. I'm like, I know some Jewish people. I know some Israeli people who are beautiful people. Are there some parts that they may think differently than I do about some things related to Palestine, stuff like that? Yes, all that's there, but they're beautiful people. That's not the Israeli government is not a direct representation of the Israeli people.
This should be like something literally taught to a kid when they're first coming into awareness. Not politics, but the idea that a political entity never is actually most of the time they're intentionally misrepresenting a group of people.
100%.
And so it's like, to judge Israeli people by it's like horrendous to me.
Same with me.
Horrendous.
We could go off on 1,000 tangents.
Yeah.
I need to keep us on focus. That's my job.
So manure was another one.
Manure, okay.
Just using and I'm not like
you previously thought you needed to, and you realized
I previously thought it was like 100% required.
Really? And it's not.
It's not. You need fulvic and humic acid, which comes through carbon when it's broken down into humus, which is its most unrecognizable basic form.
So are you a big biochar guy then?
Biochar is 100% one of the top 5 pillars of like agriculture, I believe.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
And I've gotten to learn a lot more about it in recent years. But even before that, I was a fan of it as far as what it does and how it works and its diamagnetic nature.
Shout out to Topher.
Shout out to Topher Gardner. Yeah, black gold biochar. And got to learn a lot about it from Topher too.
Yeah.
And biochar, at this point, right here, right now, in this current era, this current epoch, agriculturally, from my perspective and from my experience, it's rock minerals, vegetable waste compost, biochar, and plasma activated water. These are the keys. And now plasma activated water, it's probably another discussion, but it's coming. It's here actually.
Okay.
And it's getting available.
Okay.
And it's going to revolutionize how we carry out agriculture across the world.
Okay. So where does electroculture fit into that? And first off, let's define what electroculture actually is, because it's become a big buzzword in the truther space.
It's kind of wild.
And I think a lot of people have the assumption, as I did at one point, it's just like, take a stick that you find and then coil some copper around it and just stick it in your garden. And maybe that works to some degree, but it's so much more than that.
Yeah.
But that's kind of like the superficial frame that it's discussed in in the
That's the Instagram
yes
version. Yeah.
Yes.
Like we have everything. We have an Instagram version
Yes,
of real
of course.
life. And exactly right. So electroculture is very old. It's not valid because it's old, valid because it works, but it is very old. I don't really
That's an important
I
distinction,
don't
though.
like using the fact that something is old to make it valid
That's such an important distinction,
because
man.
it's ancient. Ancient folks were up to some nonsense too. Some of the most nonsense.
Yeah.
Like I'm not going to venerate any one group of people over another.
Yeah.
Not whether it's native versus non-native, indigenous versus non-indigenous, racial.
This is important because I tend to do that. I admit that. I tend to do that. Like, oh, if it's ancient, that means they had it figured out way better.
That's a trained response.
It's like they're still human beings, man.
Not that there's not, like I also am fully embracing of those beautiful teachings.
Totally.
But I don't see them as belonging because I've seen enough iterations of it cross-culturally to know that they're universal ideas.
Yes.
Now I can like one culture's expression linguistically better than another.
Yeah.
That's just predilection. I have a predilection about everything. Like I'm very opinionated. Like I know what I like. So I hone in, so do you. But that doesn't mean it's not a universal concept. Like traditional Chinese medicine is not inherently Chinese.
No.
It's universal. The Chinese are very pragmatic and they're very good at language systems. So they did a really good job recording a lot of stuff for us. And I'm very grateful. But that medicine has traveled the world. And in fact, a lot of it is here now. In this continent is like the sentinel of a lot of stuff that comes from other places. But in fact, a lot of it even originated here and has gone full circle. There's so much dynamics around it, so many dynamics that I still use the term TCM, traditional Chinese medicine, because like I said, we're trying to talk to each other about things without getting bogged down by the bigness.
Right.
But like inherently, it's not Chinese. It's just we're using the system. When they had it, they wrote it down and we're picking it up from there, kind of,
Yeah.
But yes, electroculture. Electroculture is the utilization. So it's old, but that's not why it's valid. It's been used forever. And it's used right now very successfully all across the world. Up until Industrial Revolution era, 1900 or so.
So much
it was very
then.
prolific.
So much happened.
It was very
in
prolific.
so many industries, man. It's so wild.
And agriculture was hugely changed.
Yeah.
I've seen photos even from not too long after that of farms in Russia, farms all over the world that had these antenna systems going on. Like there was at least 3 antenna makers in the 1800s. At the end of the 1800s, there was one in France who wrote a book that's become kind of the book everybody uses, Justine Christoffel, just called Electroculture. It's a short little book. It's not a great book. It's a good book, but it's helpful, but it doesn't, also misses a lot. I don't know if that was intentional, probably a little bit.
Dude, hearing about that this was also a pretty big thing up until the Industrial Revolution, late 1800s, early 1900s, really does just, for me, lend a little bit more credence to the idea of a reset or like possibly being in Satan's little season right now.
Big time.
Like, dude,
big time.
Like everything seems to have been flipped upside down during
perverted.
that time. It's like, wild.
The reality was perverted.
Yeah.
It's so interesting.
Yeah. Like people think it's just like Rockefeller medicine, the Flexner report's like
it's so vast.
Everything.
So
everything.
vast. Yeah. And as things became industrialized, that's right when like pharma and ag coalesced into what we have today. It was the beginnings of their mega partnership, at least on a big systematic level. I think there was always that, but basically realized that these systems weren't going to make them any money, electroculture systems or things like that, and started putting out articles. So there was a big remnant still, like in the 1920s. There's a big remnant of people still using these systems, like the last to hold out kind of people who knew. But they started putting out newspaper articles, and you can look these up, like microfiche them, or they're probably even on Google searches and stuff. Newspaper articles in the United States warning farmers about using electroculture antenna systems because they would cause a surplus in production and then prices would fall. So they scared them economically, and at the very same moment, this was to set the table for the introduction of ammonium nitrate as a fertilizer, which is literally unspent munitions from the world wars.
Wow.
So we literally let's go back to the idea of vibrations influencing matter. You had something that was intended to kill other people, munitions being made, and then they didn't use it all. So they started selling it back to farmers as fertilizer. So this thing that was intended to kill humans did its job inadvertently.
God dang.
Not alone, but it started a paradigm. It helped. The chemical itself didn't do it. People use that to start a paradigm in which now, yeah, you have a nitrogen reaction. You see your plants get big and green real fast, but the other side of that coin is physical detriment and the ultimate acceptance of other things like poisons. This was all when all that stuff started, because it's like industry. The people who had been working in pharmaceuticals are now industrializing it. And then pretty soon after that, you do have the Rockefeller system where not everything's going to be made out of petrochemicals.
Yeah.
Which he's telling us is dinosaur bones, which is just nuts. Like I knew as a kid that wasn't true inherently.
Yeah.
And then as I got older, I realized like I've tasted inadvertently 3 different things. I've tasted fulvic acid, a product that's meant to be put in a compost tea because it's splashed up into my mouth. I didn't try it. I tasted it inadvertently by mistake. I've tasted diesel truck oil because I have diesel trucks and I changed my own oil, and I've laid under my 97. It's kind of, they didn't have the best design back then. Great truck, but the oil filter, like when you take it off, basically it's super heavy and it's coated in oil because it starts coming out, and it's basically going to want to slip through your hand, especially if you're wearing a glove. And I usually avoid it.
What make is it?
It's a F350.
Okay, Ford guy?
7.3 liter, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, as far as diesel trucks, yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. Hey, that's a 97 F350 with the 7.3 liter diesel. And it's a stock truck. I have another one that's tuned up and stuff. But
nice.
Yeah.
But you tasted diesel.
Tasted the oil.
Yeah.
Which is, carbon.
Yep.
So it tasted the oil while I was changing my oil. Tastes just like the fulvic acid.
Interesting.
And shilajit, which I intentionally tasted. They taste the same.
No way.
Yeah. So you think about this like primordial carbon, right? It basically is like an adaptogen that's like can become what it needs to become. And that's the same way a lot of these things work in the soil. Like it's intelligent, like your body.
Yeah.
The soil is intelligent, like hyper intelligent. It knows what it needs. It just needs the power supply. Our biggest fertility issue with soil, and probably also with people, is power supply. That's why Qigong and electroculture are synonymous.
Yeah.
We're coalescing heaven and earth energies with electroculture into what I call the estuary of phases, which is topsoil. Like nothing grows, like plants don't really grow deep in the ground. They don't grow in the air. They're in this topsoil, right? That's the estuary of phases. That's where the cations meet the anions. We can talk about it in any language, from like ionically to spiritually to elementally.
I love all of it.
Same.
Love all of it.
We need it all.
Yep.
Because we need all peoples to meet them where they're at.
Yep.
With reception to these concepts. And if you can get one of them, you can get all of them. There's only a couple things going on here in this realm as far as energy.
Yeah.
How it works. Like I'm not trying to pigeonhole it or label it, but from my observations, there's these patterns where phases,
universal principles.
Phases
Totally.
reconcile into a force.
Yep.
Like high pressure and low pressure systems make the vortices of a hurricane.
Yeah.
The fire and the water create the steam that drive the train, not the fire or water alone, right? And even where the word qi, which means vital life force in Chinese, Qigong is energy skill. So it's skill with vital life force. That's what that means. Like Kung Fu means energy time. So with qi, the word qi is very old, but there's an older word that predates qi, and that word is literally steam. Qi comes from the Chinese word for steam, the ancient word for steam.
Wow.
And that's under the concept of fire, the male essence, the solar cosmic essence, the positive, the negative female, yin, earthly essence. Reconcile those phases, you have a force. Man and woman make the child. That's that third. So we can also unreconcile phases and unvectorize something. And that's how we do work in radionics and vibrational medicine and homeopathy. Radionics is vibrational homeopathy. I think that's good to clear up because a lot of people who haven't been in that radionics world, it's a little vague.
My wife's a homeopath.
Okay.
This is interesting.
Okay. So it's homeopathy through alloptic energy or radio. So alloptic energy is a term that Galen Hieronymus, who was a farmer and scientist, researcher, innovator, just an all-around savant in this realm, coined. And it has to do with the energy that we're really working with here, which has a lot of the characteristics of electricity as we know it, but it also has a lot of the characteristics of optical light. So the term alloptic allows us both of those within a word that more specifically denotes what's going on. Like instead of calling it electricity or just light, it's this alloptic energy. And the way I see it personally, cosmologically, is like sound catalyzes, percusses the void, catalyzes photoelectric responses.
Okay.
And then that creates the voltage.
Okay.
Let's say.
Got it.
That's kind of the way
I
see it working.
Say that one more time, because I want to.
So sound. So for instance, like God said,
I always go back to like how my understanding of fourth phase water with respect to this, because like infrared light creating expanding the exclusion zone. So do that again.
So simply like under the same idea of like God said, let there be light. It's like you have the sound.
Yeah.
Then you have the light from the sound.
Yeah.
Kind of like this phylum of energy.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'm not that one's better than the other. It's just a sequence.
Yeah.
It's an octaves of expressions, like musical notes more so. And so you have this sound that percusses the voids, whatever that void may be. Then you have the light energy or the alloptic energy, which is, kind of indistinguishable from electricity too. There's all this overlap.
Yep.
And then you have the kind of measurable output of electricity as we know it, kind of coming down from that line.
It's interesting because Veda Austin, as she's worked with some of the nonverbal autistic kids, they have taught her, from my understanding, that there's 7 phases of water. And up until this point, they haven't said she hasn't publicly revealed what they've said about all the phases, but she says the first 2 are thought and light.
Okay.
So like thought, sound, and light are the first 2 phases of water.
Again, we're limiting sound by the word.
I know. Yeah, I know.
It could even be a sound you hear to yourself.
Right.
Like, do you not hear your own voice? Or do you not hear your own thoughts? When you think of a
song, are you not hearing the actual song in your head?
Right.
So, I am. And that shit can be annoying as hell sometimes.
Yeah. So that's what I'm saying. That's why we're coming back to this, like not limiting things so much. But we're talking about the same thing.
Yeah.
So like that then can be where you see like dielectrics and stuff come into play. Like, was that charge capacitated or held on a surface or creating an electrostatic? Like the mechanism is the same. And then you get into the more quantra. Like this is an interesting thing about electroculture. And I mean, I don't want to get away from our original trying to define
Go
that.
everywhere within electroculture, please.
So with electroculture, I'll quickly give my definition. We're utilizing the fluxing potentials between heaven and earth, vectorizing those effects where we want to grow crops.
Got it.
Right? Or grow anything. You can
vectorizing by use of the rods
use of antenna conductor systems.
Yeah.
Yes.
Got it.
And the conductors are very important. This is what the Instagram version is always skipping over because it takes more explanation. It takes more labor. Like that's not the types of things Instagram likes. Instagram doesn't like labor and long explanations.
No context.
It's quibbits.
No nuance.
Yeah. It's quibbits and arguing over things you haven't ever done. That's Instagram. And it has value, but that's one of its lesser attractive sides. But so you have all this traditional electroculture. It works really well to the point where the beast system wants to get rid of it so they can make their money or whatever. That's not confusing. That's very clear agenda type stuff. But what it is simply utilizing the fluxing potentials between heaven and earth through antenna systems, through conductive metals, and then vectorizing those effects with a conductor. And that conductor is very important for it to be iron-based, ferromagnetic.
Okay.
Yeah, so this is induction. What we're working with on a scientific level, let's say, or a Western mind level, is electromagnetic induction.
Okay.
So we have alternating magnetic fields, we have a conductor, we have a cathode and an anode, and that conductor fluxes those potentials, and around that, because electricity doesn't move through wires, it moves around them. So it moves around, it capacitates, or it builds up, and it discharges around that conductor into the soil in this case. Just like as a human, we're standing vertical, heaven point, earth point, we're fluxing potentials, and we induce a Wei Qi field or a biofield.
Yeah.
Same exact thing.
Yeah.
So we would be the conductors, our body, our antenna. We were all of it. But if we were to like lay down horizontally in the soil on the ground, it's kind of the same analogy. The conductor is just in the ground.
Yeah.
And what's so important about how the systems are set up is that you have your antenna, which is like your cathode, like collecting the positive ions and generating charge. And we can go over how those work.
Yeah.
Then you have your anode point, like your point of your negative depot, let's say, and your positive depot conductor in between those.
Makes sense because the celestial bodies, the air essentially is where the positive charge comes from, and then the negative charge is the earth.
Right. We have endless depot of negative here in the earth. Endless.
Yeah.
So we know that through lots of measurements, lots of metrics, that the positively charged ions coming through the solar winds, a lot of those make it close enough to the Earth's surface. So picture you have two magnets, and when you hold them out here, there's not a lot of attraction, but as you get closer, boom, right? Same principle. So those cations are positively charged ions that make it close enough to the surface. Like it's assumed through measuring and metrics to be around 15 feet above the surface. So that's not that's topography related. So it would change with topography. Right. 15 feet above, they're going to attract. They're going to reconcile. That's where all soil fertility comes from in the first place.
Wow.
So that's the power supply for the fertility. Let's say that more clearly. That's the power supply. The biological side is going to be what's in the ground.
Quick tangent. So Steve Young, when I interviewed him, I believe you met him at Elementals. Yep. I asked him like his thoughts on the effect colloquially known as gravity, which really we're just talking about things falling to the ground. And we talked about how it's probably less about like density and buoyancy, which what a lot of people want to like talk about as an alternative explanation. But it's like, okay, you still have to reconcile that thing. There's some force causing that thing to come to the ground. Right. And what he brought up is the possibility of, he thinks there is a current, like an ether current that is coming from the heavens and oriented downwards, like a river almost, like a river of ether that is the force that we know as gravity.
And ultimately. It weighs like 14 and a half pounds.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like that's it. I couldn't agree more.
That's what you think too?
Yeah. Couldn't agree more.
Cool.
And when it
makes sense.
When it reconciles with the earthly ions, in this case we can call them that, or forces, however, I call them phases because it's two phases make a force kind of thing. Yeah. And all forces have an accelerative property because mass times acceleration is force. So anytime you have a force, you can identify it through its accelerative nature and delineate it from a phase. And then you can break those down sometime into subphase. It's kind of endless sometimes, but that's how I broadly identify, like, am I working with a phase or a force here? And if I'm not working with a force, what's the other complementary phase to this that will get me a force?
Interesting. That is such an interesting
And when we look at like yin and yang or positive and negative or electricity and magnetism, like from my perspective, there's really no dividing magnetic fields with the negative polarity of electricity, the negative potential. I think they're different names for the same thing because just like we're trained in Chinese medicine, the yang advances and the yin receives. They don't meet in the middle. They're not equals. They're asymmetrical. One advances and one receives. The magnetic field receives the electric signaling. And then they form that isotropic field, that spherical bubble of energy, right? That's the chi. That's
why people say thoughts are electric and the field is and emotions are magnetic.
Same principle.
Yeah.
Same principle.
Makes sense.
And we would look at that as a little bit male and female.
Yeah, totally.
Right? And in like, for instance, the martial art, Tai Chi, you have advancing moves and you have yielding moves. And it's all based around spinning around that Tai Chi pole, that silver cord that I'm referencing, connecting heaven and earth that runs up the center of you.
You're really good at picking up parallels between things.
Thank you. Yeah, I mean,
the patterns.
I kind of like the art of sameness. It's like
same.
Yeah.
Same with me.
Yeah.
Same with me. That's hilarious.
I feel that. Yeah. Intuitively. Yeah. That's really what we're doing, right? We're like honing in on how it's all the same. So
what do we do about it?
What do we do about it?
Yeah. How do we utilize it?
So that's a lot. That's a big thing for me.
Yeah.
I am not a person, like, I love everybody that reaches out. Part of me, and it's probably part I need to work on, but I also feel like it's valid at the same time. Part of me has a real distasteful reaction. Not that I express it to the individual. They probably never know. But when I get a message about using electroculture from a fear-based perspective of shortage, lacking, any sort of lacking, it inherently bothers me to the core. Because I see it as such a solutionary thing. And I know that's what those people mean too. So I'm not judging it.
Yeah.
It's something that emotionally is triggered within me when it's like brought forth out of scarcity or lacking.
Yeah. Or would that even extend to like, I need electroculture in my garden because they're spraying so much above me. 100%, I'm so afraid about
100%.
it. Yeah.
I think we need to identify the issues, and there's plenty of them, and I'm not denying them.
Right. Geoengineering is an issue.
100%.
Yeah.
Once we've identified it, what's our plan?
Yeah.
Let's moving on.
Yeah.
Moving on, because I want to enjoy life.
Same,
I want to have fun and laugh.
Yeah.
And I'm not having fun and laughing if I'm bogged down by what everybody else has the potential to do to me.
100%.
Go at it. Do your worst. I'm going to do my best. Like, that's all I know. Like, that's all I have, like, my immediate environment and what's within.
Yeah.
You know, what we create within becomes what we have without.
Yeah.
And, you know, not to overuse as above, so below, but just like, that's it. What we create within.
That's a principle, man.
Right.
Yeah.
That's why that's why our lives become different as we change inside.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm actually, it's something I've just realized that response happens. I kind of just realized over the last year or two, kind of realizing like, man, why do I have that immediate annoyed response? Like, just because that inherently probably just really, it's almost like you're sad for them, but that's not my place to be. Like, that's not my job. So it's like, I let it go, but I have an inherent response to being like, oh, yeah, why do you want to do it for that? Like, you want to do it because you're going to have abundance in life and like interaction at least, even if it's not about the abundance, it's about the experience. So like, it's about the fact that you took something that your heart knew before your mind did, and you went and you did it.
This is life-giving versus death-avoiding.
Yeah. We really won't need regenerative agriculture if our agriculture is generative. Like, we don't want to come back 100 years from now and have to have this same tired 30,000 times discussion about what's best for, like, we need to figure it out, man. And stop like playing around so much with like cults of personality. Like, it becomes so much about that. And I go to acres. I'm like participating in the agricultural world.
Yeah.
Regenerative agriculture, biodynamics. I talk to conventional farmers all the time with giving presentations with some of the people I work with who are doing a lot of work with plasma activated water and helping farmers in the Midwest convert huge, like hundreds of thousands of acres into beyond organic production.
Amazing.
With amazing success. None of this scarcity stuff is true. We have way more than we need.
Amen.
Yeah.
It's a perception mind game related to scarcity. Like I wrote an article about a month and a half ago related to what's happening with Iran and the Strait of Hormuz. And I had to preface the article by saying, like, everything that I'm about to say is not how it actually is. There is only abundance in reality. And the wizards, as Owen Benjamin calls them, will create the perception of scarcity through some of the fuckery happening with the Strait of Hormuz being closed and 1/3 of the world's synthetic fertilizer being caught up there, 1/3 of the nitrogen feedstock being caught up there, and some of these other things. It's like it's creating the perception that it's scarcity and then fucking around with prices relating to it. But the baseline actual happenings in reality are not that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like distinguishing between the two.
You have to be able to kind of live in a couple worlds at the same time.
Yeah.
To be a decent person to other people, maybe. Interestingly enough, I just had this thought right now, but the Strait of Hormuz, Hormuz comes from Humuzda, which is Persian. It's like their version of the word Ahura Mazda, which is divine it's the god, essentially, in Zoroastrian culture.
Yeah. Okay.
So they didn't have like a cult of personality. They just venerated divine intelligence.
Yeah.
And divine intelligence they refer to as Ahura Mazda. And then you have the Ahriman, which Rudolf Steiner speaks about a lot.
Yep.
The Ahriman, right? So you have the opposite of Ahura Mazda, which is pure material.
Okay.
It's not bad.
Yeah.
It's not evil. It's just pure material.
Right.
Then you have divine intelligence, right? And they were also basically looking toward 1,000 years from when they were saying all this in the beginning in ancient Persia, that they were prophesizing Christ.
Wow.
Big time.
Wow.
They even made images. It's a very interesting culture.
That's so
like
cool.
The third largest traffic site on my website is from a small farming area in northern Iran.
No way.
Because
that's rad.
The principles I really integrate into my language.
Yeah.
And I guess somebody found that, and it's so interesting. It'll be like LA, Melbourne, Australia, and this village I don't remember the name of in northern Iran.
So they're like your biggest fan?
Man, I don't know, but they can't buy anything. It's not because they buy anything. It's like
it's just the principles that you're talking about.
I feel like
that's really cool though.
But what my point was,
that's cool.
That's the Strait of Hormuz. So Ahura Mazda, in the more ancient way of saying it, was Hormuzda. The Strait of Hormuz is named after the Strait of Divine Intelligence. Wow. So if you cut off that, what does that mean? It just hit me. Like, what does that mean? What are we really saying?
Yeah.
The access point for divine intelligence, we've decided it's cut off.
That's wild.
Yeah. No one can cut you off from that. It's like,
no.
And oil is decayed plants. Like,
and
so
it's
like,
so wild as it relates to everything that I just said too, because it goes back to nature and God are inherently abundant and life-giving. They're trying to create the perception that we're being cut off, which creates scarcity, but it's not actually true in reality. It can't possibly be.
Right.
Wild.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
It's truly wild.
Yeah.
And that just trickles down into every little facet of society, ultimately. Most facets. Yeah, we see that. I mean, lack of divine trust is like the number one medical disorder that I'll probably end up diagnosing in my medical Qigong practice. And that's in the spleen. So like, you know, if I get like a patient who's like a staunch atheistic nothingness, like all I can offer is to work on divine trust. That's all I can offer you. Because until that's in place, nothing will heal.
Yeah.
Like it's a trust that trickles down from the divine to yourself. And so I've noticed that like folks who I noticed like during certain times when things were intense and they had to make choices, like whatever COVID stuff. I hate talking about COVID, but like that era that did things against their own better judgments and own inner voice. That's ultimately leading to a spleen disorder that's lack of divine trust.
Interesting.
Because then they've gone so far, they don't even trust their own voice.
Wow.
Which is like a step down.
Yeah.
Kind of, you know. But yeah, so this whole thing is linked together. Like divine trust, human health, agricultural proliferance, the biology that we have. I think if there was something that was to say, like in agriculture, what's lacking is just simply power supply.
Yeah.
We have minerals, nutrients, elements, like a lot of agricultural soils are incredibly full of nutrients. Mm-hmm. They're just not available.
Got it.
It's like I can have all the groceries in my car, but if my truck's out of diesel, I can't get those groceries from point A to point B.
And so lack of life force energy.
And the car is the ATP.
Would you say that? Like it's basically lack 100%.
Lack of that's exactly how I say it. Yeah. A lack of life force energy for the biology. Mm-hmm. So like some people, when I talk about electroculture and its benefits, will be like, well, it's soil microbes doing all that. Okay, fair enough. But where did they get their life force?
Yeah.
It always goes back to energy. It always goes back to energy for the biology. And then you get into biology that's sufficient, like say a farm or a crop, a field that's sufficiently producing. Like, oh, it's doing pretty good. Once you see one that's thriving, that one looks horrible because you're like, oh, no, this is it. That has ample energy. You don't really get soil, and the body doesn't really get into like, what's the word? Apoptosis, I think.
Yeah.
Like killing damaged cells.
Yeah.
Until you have excess energy. Mm-hmm. You have to have extra for that.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it integrates those damaged cells into your system.
That's why water fasting is such a big thing, because you're no longer having to expend energy related to digestion.
So that's perfectly in line. I haven't even connected that. That makes perfect sense.
Yep.
Yeah. So exactly. Duh. But brilliant. Like, yeah, that's what I'm saying. So like when you're not utilizing that energy during the water fast, your body's able to go through its autophagy, go through its apoptosis. Soil is the same way. So there's all these weird cells in soil too. And it's able to eradicate those and then leave that life force energy for all the healthy stuff to proliferate, similar to when you take out tons of trees and if all the ones that are left really go off, you know?
Yeah.
It's kind of similar. But just sharing resources.
As the mainstream system continues to tighten its grips on average men and women, with inflation running rampant and cost of living skyrocketing, it's becoming increasingly challenging for most people to make ends meet and to really maintain and expand financial abundance. And that's where I think it's incredibly important that we adopt and really start looking into alternative financial strategies, alternative ways to structure, and then some of these technologies that exist that help us expand and grow outside of these these very extractive, exploitative mainstream systems. So I'm sitting here with my dear friend, Otto Gomes from Crypto Freedom Academy, who would like to share a little bit about Crypto Freedom Academy and all of its offerings and what he teaches inside the academy.
Yeah, the academy, the main reason I created it is to create community. And I think that's the most important thing right now. You know, the currency of the future is relationships. And the technologies that we have are only as good as those relationships. And so in the academy, I try to instill in everyone a sense of empowerment to know their current relationship to the energy of exchange so that we can attract more of the medium. I hope you guys utilize the technologies that are available to us, like blockchain, trust and contract law, and how to do that privately.
So if you're interested in learning more about Crypto Freedom Academy and all the things that Otto offers and his depth and wealth of knowledge on the topic of crypto and financial structuring and passive income, check out episode 241 of the Way Forward podcast with Otto, or just head to thewayforward.com, and that's thewayfwrd.com/crypto freedom, or just head to the show notes and you'll find the link there. When did you start using electroculture?
About a decade ago.
About a decade ago. Okay.
Yeah.
And so what have you learned? Because we talked about the mistakes you made in terms of like you thought that you needed blood meal, you thought that you needed animal manure, but you found that just using things like biochar, you really need the fulvic and humic, you need those sources in your soil. And then electroculture came into play for you 10 years ago. So what did that look like, and what does it look like now?
It looked like in the beginning, I was exposed to the idea of it in my year one of farming. But in no way I was just wrapping my head around the basics. I was like, well, I felt the truth in it. And I was really not exposed to it through these antenna systems at that point. I was exposed to the idea of it through, I think his name is Andre Vlassant, but he wrote an old book in French about, he was a ruminant grower. Like he raised cattle and stuff.
Yeah.
But he was a grass farmer, right? He knew this. And he was one of the first people to really acknowledge that that's what you're really doing when you're farming cattle on grass, growing grass, high protein grass. Mm-hmm. And even back then, I think this was, again, around turn of the century, 1900, when he wrote this book, maybe a little before or after, he was recognizing that was the case. He was recognizing that it was an energy issue, right? And I don't remember everything about that book. It's literally been 15 years since I read that. Mm-hmm. But I do remember it inspired something within me to acknowledge at that moment, oh, well, yeah, it's not all about like I wasn't chemical. I wasn't like say it was all chemistry, but it is not all about just soil inputs and elements and what is this nutrient and what is this NPK and macronutrients. I mean, I'm understanding of all that, and that's a language of its own to basically break down the chemical residues of electricity. But
same thing in the body.
Yeah.
Same thing in the body. I can't help but say that. Yeah, it's literally the exact same thing in the body.
It's like, so what are we going to look at? Residues? It's like, I liken it to going to a festival after it's over, collecting all the trash that was left and then trying to really get a good idea about the event. So did you hear the speakers? Did you have the conversations? No, you collected the garbage and you're like, I know what happened.
You also just described cell biology.
Yeah, exactly. I know what happened here. Someone cooked. You're just like, bro.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Like, get out of here.
That is literally modern science.
Yeah.
Let's
go look at the residues and make assumptions and then put those, write those in stone and sell those to the public. Like that's
a virus. That's an extracellular vesicle.
Yeah. So it was like that understanding, kind of like we're having right now again, is like, it's kind of like, okay, haha, there's more to it.
Yeah.
But I put it aside.
Got it.
Kept farming, kept using the same, kept doing what I did. I was learning. It was like literally one of the first months. And I was so new. I was so like, what am I doing? Didn't even know if it was going to work out yet.
Yeah.
First several years, there'd be like once a week where I'd be like, nah, I don't know. I don't think it's going to work, Tracy. I don't think I'm just from all the above reasons and all the reasons you could think. And again, I was like, literally, it'd be like someone saying they were hungry and they have like a box of food there and they know it's there. Or maybe they don't, but it's there. They could look in the box and see what was in the box and inside, and they just sit there being hungry as opposed to ever going and looking around, and it's like farmers that I sometimes work with are not doing well. And yet they still are in denial of energy resources.
Yeah.
And you're like, well, I could get it if you were just killing it, bro. I could get it if you were just like slaughtering the game. But like your stuff looks horrible. And like, you're literally telling me you didn't make any money
Yeah.
and you have thousands of acres. Like, that's crazy. You should be able to, like, in my opinion, you should be able, not be able to or should, but you are able to, if you choose, to make harvest and produce quite a bit of food on like an acre or half acre. Like, it's all about how you do it.
Mm-hmm.
It's all about how you do it and what resources. There's techniques and then there's resources. There's techniques that help, but mainly it's being open and allowing yourself to receive the gifts that are coming, all these resources. And I like to refer to them as that because it kind of baselines them.
Yeah.
Natural resources. We think of those as just water, air, metals or something, but it's like, it's energy primarily. And then water and air and metals all carry those. But at the fundamental level, if you're denying those resources in farming, I think you would have to just take a resignation to that position and be like, yeah, I've just chosen to deny those.
Got it.
And that's okay. Yeah. I'm okay with that. Like that, I mean, it doesn't matter if I'm okay with that. That's your free will. But like at the same time, that's not what most people do. They deny the resources and then they lament over the fact that they didn't use the resources. And then they chastise those who use the resources and have success with those resources and chalk it up to either something else or just say you're somehow schizophrenic or crazy, but yet I'm the one over here like pulling crazy yields of like biodynamic produce. Like, and I don't say that with like any sort of pompousness. I say that just like, I'm like, well,
reality.
And I watch others do that too.
Yeah.
So it's like, no, this is what, like my friend, I have a friend named Malik Lowndes who's he's from Jamaica. He spent a lot of time with me because he was actually in the Army for a while and stationed in Fort Campbell. He found me on Instagram, didn't even know I was in Tennessee, reached out just on some love, really want to know more about this. He's a young dude. He was like 22 at the time, going to electrical engineering school while in the Army and getting ready to go to school. And he just found the page. Like he actually searched electroculture stuff. He found out about it, then went down the like twisty sticks rabbit hole.
Yep.
Then somehow the algorithm showed him one of my pages and he heard the music in the background and was like, oh, that's one of my, I like this. And then he went down the information and you could tell he like got it kind of from the beginning before he even really got it. He got it.
That's cool.
And he reached out and he's like, I looked at his Instagram page because he follows me. I look at his stuff. I was like, oh, he's in downtown Nashville in this picture. So I messaged him, are you in Tennessee? He's like, yeah, I'm in Clark's like an hour away. I was like, come over. So him and his wife, Sammy at the time, came over and we just like became good friends. Over some years, he like goes to school, realizes he wants to farm, but probably back home.
Yeah.
So he came and spent a reasonable amount of time with me as a friend, but then also I would try to like intentionally take moments to teach him certain things about electroculture. So he's back there now, only been back there for like a year and a half. And he's already getting known as like the young, successful farmer because his stuff is crushing. And he's been sending me videos. He's got antenna systems. So like I'm trying, like one of my goal with training him was like, kind of was like, so you do your thing. And you can also be like, kind of like the representative for the fertile current in Jamaica because you need someone on that side. You need to get stuff there in a responsible way and to get it dispersed to the right people.
Yeah.
So we're working together with that too and just trying to bring these technologies. And I also work with a farmer in Haiti.
Cool.
And he has my equipment.
That's cool.
So there's a couple places in the world where my heart's pulled. And it's like those two places.
That's cool.
And so I just try to work with people in those places. And
especially so much of those places had so much extractive energy. So to bring the abundance
that's
back
it,
in.
Man. They're like so heavily extracted.
Yeah, 100%.
The Caribbean is like the original stronghold of this whole, like that's where the dudes would go and hide out. That's where they'd actually be, like down in Barbados somewhere and like running the cities up here in America back in the day.
Have you ever been to Belize?
No, I haven't.
But Belize has a lot of that too, in the best way. It's beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like, bringing something back to those places, Jamaica more personally, and then Haiti, it just seems like an obvious, like, whoa, the stuff that's happened there blows my mind.
Yeah, man.
More than most.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's talk about how the antennas work if we could.
Sure.
Yeah. You were talking about anode, cathode. So
yeah. So, and we're essentially, we can talk about heaven and earth energy.
Yeah.
And that's the same as positive and negative, male and female, fire and water.
Mhm.
That's kind of the different linguistics we're working with. The
Fire being the male element, water being the female element. That's why the information from the fire imprints on the water.
Yeah.
Or when they come together, they create steam.
I like to see it like instead of them kind of like merging, it's like you have the yang, you have the cosmic positive phase,
Yep.
the heaven, and it's advancing toward the earth. And it's just like someone getting in bath water. That yin is displaced by the yang. Like the water rises up around a person getting in the bath.
Yeah.
And then that transmutes into heaven.
Wow.
Right? So it's bringing heaven to earth.
That's cool.
That's what the path is.
Got
So
it.
like the two kind of like subcultures that I feel like really hit closest is like ancient Tao and the Essenes. And
I figured you like this.
yeah, well,
figured.
I when I lived in the Netherlands, I apprenticed a gentleman who was basically, his title was the Bishop of the Essene Order of the Netherlands.
Wow.
And so I really didn't know anything about it until this point. And
Uh-huh.
I just circumstantially like got invited to live. I lived in a squat in the Netherlands, in an organized squat community.
Wow.
Like in the old Belgian consulate building. So the old embassy. And the Dutch government allowed it to be squatted because they have a feud with the Belgians. So we got to stay in there for a long time with power and, big building.
We'll set this aside, but
Yeah.
I want to talk about Jesus a little bit because
Yep.
Okay.
So anyway, the path, Essenes and the Tao both refer to that as the path, the way, without giving it too many labels. And that's kind of, antenna systems.
So for people who are just listening, he's holding up one of his antennas. You might want to tune in on video on this one. It's cool.
Yeah, so the antenna systems originally, what did it look like in the beginning? Not the antenna, but what did it look like me trying to grasp electroculture?
Yeah.
It looked like me understanding this core thought, this core operation, but not knowing how to apply it correctly. I did fortunately start my journey in very good places because it was pre-Instagram messery. So anything you were finding at that point was just kind of very old and authentic. And so I did find like Crystal Flu's book. And through that, I realized that at that time in the late 1800s and 1890s, there was antenna makers in Perth, Australia. There was antenna makers in Indiana,
Wow.
in the Midwest. And there was this guy in France.
Indiana of all places too. That says a lot though.
It was everywhere.
Yeah.
So that's what made me realize, this was really not just this niche thing. This was like
A thing.
worldwide.
Yeah. This is a big thing.
And then since then, I've got all kind of info on it. But
Yeah.
I would have simply bought equipment if it had been available. I wasn't even thinking I'm going to make the equipment. I was thinking, I want to do this. Like when you want to learn a new sport, I want to learn tennis. Like I'm trying to learn tennis right now. It's like one of the things I really want to do a lot is play tennis. I'm really drawn to it. I've always had fun with it, but I want to learn it like deeper and more nitty gritty. Like
So
I want
you
to
buy
get
a
in.
tennis racket, you find a tennis court, but for
Yeah.
you, it's like, this is an ancient sport that people used to play, but
yeah.
there's no equipment. Like
Yeah.
I got to build this shit.
Right. So I was like,
Yeah.
shoot. There was a little bit of stuff available,
Yeah.
but honestly, I personally just didn't find it comprehensive enough.
Uh-huh.
And that's why I use the term comprehensive electroculture a lot, because I early on had so many experiences where I was like, that's really not comprehensive to me. And that's what I would hear myself say. So I was like, I'm going to call it comprehensive electroculture.
Yeah.
Because things can kind of make sense, and like biomimicry, all these things, the way the body works, like it's all coming together, I was like, I see the systems, but they're not there physically. And so I guess I got to make it. So I literally took like the Crystal Flu book and a few other resources that gave any sort of insight into how these antennas were being built and tried to emulate them at first with modern stuff, because I could instantly see the flaw. Like I'm into engineering and R&D, and so I could like instantly see where I wanted to change something, even though I was like kind of new to it, probably almost a bad habit. But I was like, well, I can, I think that would be better. Once you understand the principle though, then you can do that.
Yeah.
And it's actually, that's what we want to be doing.
For sure.
Like I hope somebody makes antennas next year that just slaughter mine.
Yeah.
Like I'm so excited for the craft that actually the stuff that I'm talking about now is because I'm trying to get it away from me.
Mm-hmm.
Like everything that I'm into and I'm talking about to others, I'm pushing it away into the world
Yeah.
so that I can welcome more different things in.
Ooh. Love that.
I don't want to be the cult of personality of electroculture, like at all. I want to be someone who helps others actualize these systems. Like I'm here for the actualizers. I'm not here to argue with skeptics. I'll have a debate with an intelligible person. Like that's not like not like a debate even. Like I was in a conference call the other day and end up really hitting it off with the fellow. But like it was supposed to be like just a conference call to talk about ideas. And he poised it as a debate once we got online together. And I was like, oh, I didn't realize we were debating. Like I would have, if I'm debating, I'm going to prepare an arsenal.
Right.
I brought a loving picnic, like
right.
of information that we were going to do. I think he did too. I think he just used that word.
Got it.
Because we probably had some different perspectives. But I was like, well, that's why we're talking. If we thought the same thing already, there'd be no need to talk. We could just circle jerk about it or whatever.
Right.
You know, it's like, sometimes you're like, man, sometimes it's just like going to a party with all dudes.
Yeah.
You're like, come on, like we need to mix this up. Like, you know, like I don't want to just be in agreement all the time.
Right.
Not like disagreement. It's not the opposite of agreement. It's like
perspectives.
Yeah. So actualizing, like who's ready? And if you're not, that's okay. I'll try to provide the information to help you get there. But then when you're all ready, that's really where I come in.
Yep.
So in the beginning, I just started making the antennas to emulate what I knew worked previously with a few adaptations because we have modern materials versus materials available in 1892. Like they were using thermopiles, which are like a crude thermocouple. Okay. So like this is more efficient. This is more sleek. This is easier to use. It makes sense. Like I'm not going to stay on something from antiquity just because it was old.
Right.
But I'm going to try to use the concept and then use what makes sense now.
Can it be better now?
Can it be better? Some things are better now.
Yeah.
Like that's okay. And so like I want to venerate the present, not the future or the past.
Yeah.
Because like none of those serve us really that well. Like in medical Qigong, we develop this toxic joy in our hearts when we give joy to the future.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah. Because we're taking joy from the future.
Yeah.
And now in the future, you have a deficit of joy and it creates this toxic joy. It's anticipate. You're using the present to feel the future's joy, but that's the future for that time. That's the emotion for that time. So it's not that it's bad. It's out of balance. It's out of order. And the heart loves nothing if not order. So it's like in respect. So that's what happens. The toxic joy can sound weird, but it's like, toxic joy.
I see that.
Joy based in nostalgia and joy based in anticipation. And that's a yin and yang polarity of toxic joy.
Wow.
So it's we don't want to ruminate on what was better back then, and we don't want to ruminate on what will be better.
Yeah.
It's like, if we're here, then we make now better.
Yeah.
Kind of thing.
Yeah, I like that.
So I started developing these antennas and they've definitely changed a lot since the beginning. I did not know how to weld in the beginning. And these are welded. Like there's like 20 welds on these. I did not know a lot of things. I started learning. What I did is I took the old systems and I took every component of those systems and did just mega research on those components. Voltaic stacks, Lakovsky rings, thermostacks.
Can you talk to me about each of those?
Yes, we're gonna go into all of them.
Cool.
And when I understood the principles of each of those sub-technologies, then I felt like now I can go create something good because I have an understanding of each little component.
Cool.
As opposed to looking at it as like this whole at first.
I
saw it that way at first.
It's probably overwhelming at first too.
It
like,
is.
Dude, what?
It is. And I'm a farmer, dude.
Yeah.
Like at that point, like I didn't even have any of the language for this.
Right.
That's all been learned.
Yeah.
Like the experience. Like I didn't know what those positive, negative ions were called. I didn't know any of that. So learned it, and like with my son, we homeschooled him and our whole agenda was always like teach him to learn how to learn. So it's like, whatever you want to learn, you learn it. Like it's not something you're supposed to learn. It's whatever you want to learn.
Right.
And so I guess that's kind of my mentality too. And so I love to learn. I was like, let me go just learn about it. So I spent some time really going at it and got a vague idea, started just building stuff. Cause I'm like, well, you just got to go. You just got to get at it. Put them together. Just start. They look so crude. They look so whack, but like they worked. I did some testing. I finally developed these designs that were like, at the time I thought were pretty awesome. And I was like, nah, this is good. This is it. Used them for years. And over those years made small improvements. And at this point this is like probably like the fourth iteration. And I just actually put a new website up like 5 days ago. So up until then, I've had the same website over these last many years. And I took some advice from people who had my best interest in mind, knew what my agenda was, but were being honest with me that maybe I was overcomplicating some things, not on purpose, but I was giving too much almost.
Got it.
because I had like 8 different models of antennas.
Uh-huh.
And it was like, they're all for a reason, a lot of slight differences. I developed them over years and years, a lot of times for specific customers because of different variants and variables. And when you start to really get into the quantra of it, you're like, oh, I can alter that to facilitate this micro need, but it still has the same general principle of use.
Too niche though for broad.
For general understanding.
Totally.
So now I've taken 8 models. We're down to 2.
Okay.
So
these are the
2 models I brought today.
Okay.
We've also made some upgrades. We've upgraded the magnets from ceramic magnets to rare earth, much stronger, will last a lot longer, aren't vulnerable to chipping and stuff like that. We've upgraded the lathing pattern on these telluric rods, the shapes that are that they're made into, the biogeometry of those shapes. And we've added an engraving there. It says the fertile current. So it's an aesthetic
Can
upgrade.
I see it?
Yeah, please.
Wow, dude, this is so cool. This almost looks like a tensor ring. Is it
Well, so
supposed to...
it's tensor twisted.
Okay.
But it's instead of being a tensor ring like slim spurling technology, it's what's called it's called a Lakovsky ring or Lakovsky coil.
Okay.
And they're also known as split ring resonators in electronics. So lots of electronics that you own have a little split ring in there that resonates statically or actively, or it's fed a power supply. And it resonates at a specific frequency to modulate the function of the machine.
Okay.
So it's an oscillatory electronic component, but they're known as Lakovsky rings because of the work that Georges Lakovsky did, where he was working with geraniums. He was like into botany, really. And he had hundreds of them. He was doing a study. He needed to support the plants because they were falling over and getting too big. And a lot of the plants were developing plant tumors. He didn't do this for the tumors. He used these copper pieces he had and bent them into a split ring. This was all just functional because he could put those on a little, like a type of plastic. It's called like ebionite or something.
Okay.
Ebonite rod. Man, I'm saying it wrong. Like the ebionites is an S-scene group, but like I'm getting 2 words confused. Ebonite, maybe.
Yeah.
Ebonite.
Okay.
It's kind of like a melamine or a melmac type plastic. He would mount, so they're non-conductive. He would mount the rings on those rods for support. But then him and his research partner came back and realized that and they used some different metals for other ones in different sizes just to support the plants.
Yeah, literally just physically to support
physically support the structure. They come back into their lab area, where the plants are. It's outside or in a greenhouse or something. And they realize that all the plants they've supported with this 30 centimeter split ring, the tumors are gone.
Wow.
So this was totally like just observational. Look what happened. Now we got to figure out why.
Yeah.
So he got, deeply into, and he was already a brilliant.
Was he using copper at the time?
He may not have been.
Okay, interesting.
He may not have been.
So it was more about the geometry.
It's the size. It's the gauge of wire and the length.
Got it.
It's the gauge of wire and the length.
You think the shape though too?
Well, yeah, because you have this is like a circuit.
Yeah.
The air gap is your point of capacitance.
Right.
Because air capacitates. So in theory, the theory is the universe will basically denote a polarity to one of these, it doesn't really matter.
Yep.
Oscillates back and forth until this is full, and then it feeds in, right?
Got it.
Small voltage, subtle voltage, but also a resonance, 144 millihertz, I believe. And this is a resonance that's known to be harmonious to all carbon-based.
Would there be any
forms.
piezoelectric properties in between those two as well, though?
Well, the piezo would be from the pressure.
Okay.
If there was from the twist.
Because I know like the way a tuning fork works, right? Like it's the space between. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's also the density of the metal.
Yeah, it's true.
There's a lot of little factors. There's a lot of little
factors.
factors, but that's why these are known as Lakovsky rings in like the metaphysical world. And they're known as split ring resonators in the world of electronics.
Got it. Okay.
But they do exactly the same thing in both cases.
Got it.
Right? Can produce subtle voltage and a frequency stimulation.
So what's their place on the electroculture rod or antenna?
Number one, a Lakovsky ring gap. So oftentimes these are used in harmonic combination. So you'll have like a 15 centimeter ring, a 30 centimeter ring, a 60 centimeter ring. Like those are harmonic sizes, right? And you will lay them opposite with the smallest one in the center. And that gap of the first one will always face north. Okay, so I learned about
magnetic north?
Directional.
Directional north.
Yeah,
Okay.
directional in this case, which is, I guess, magnetic south.
Yeah.
which is interesting because this faces directional south, which is actually magnetic north.
Okay.
This I know. My thoughts were, well, we could put this opposite this, and that would work out linearly. And, but that wasn't, it's because they produce small amounts of voltage. So all we're looking for are different mechanisms that produce small amounts of voltage all the time. Very small amounts, bioharmonious levels of voltage, like half a volt to a couple volts type levels. That's what we're working with here. We want low voltage.
Yeah.
Sometimes you poke a battery to that bad boy, and it's like, well, that's not sustainable electroculture. So like the nation of China as a agricultural entity, you can go and Google like World Economic Forum reports or China electroculture. And all you'll see is World Economic Forum reports about how they're crushing their yields, like doing really well, but they're using generators and producing thousands of volts of current, getting one big yield. The land is toast.
Yeah.
And they move on because they have so much land.
So it's not sustainable.
Not sustainable.
But it's also interesting that like they're giving lip service to like, yeah, electroculture is a real thing.
100%.
Yeah.
So it's two folds there.
Yeah. It's so interesting.
It's non-regenerative electroculture.
Yeah.
You can have a circuit can be attenuated or overloaded. And we're looking for ideal resistance.
Yeah.
And that's almost theoretical because it's like chasing the dragon, but you can get closer than not.
Got it.
So we're looking for ideal resistance, in any electrical system. So that's why we added the ring. It was an obvious addition to me. It wasn't on there at first. It came a little later. It came like round 2 of antennas, basically. The components that were standard on old electroculture antennas were telluric rods, were the brass rod. Brass is, I guess, just known to be one of the best conductors of what we might call fair weather current or geomagnetic current.
Interesting.
So that's why, this is vertical when it's installed, this horizontal, that's the earth plane, right? The magnetic field. This orients directional south, magnetic north when you install them, because if we look at the toroidal field, the donut, right? We have everything's flowing in toward that magnetic north, and every direction away from that center is south. And then clockwise around the center is east, and counterclockwise around the center is west, right? So we're pulling in from that edge to the center. That's why we align these to directional south, magnetic north. Then we have magnets, these two sets of magnets that are in phase with that current, meaning the southern polarity of the magnet is facing out.
Got it.
Then we have the voltaic stack, which is simply zinc and copper interchange plates. And like the first batteries ever invented by Alessandro Volta were voltaic stacks. That's where we get the word volts. And they were simply these stacks, and then he would put them down in salt water, little glass beakers of salt water, and then connect the two terminals to a little lamp or something. So these metals electrochemically exchange ions to create voltage. When it rains on them, the electrolytes in the rainwater increases that effect. So there's an environmental interaction with all the components.
So cool.
This is a thermocouple. So this is something you're going to find in appliances that flips switches. So it puts out a 30 millivolt signal every time the temperature goes up or down a few degrees, right?
Okay.
So that signal in this case, that 30 millivolts, we're utilizing the varying temperatures of outside between day and night, cloudy and sunny. The metals in there, it's called the Seebeck effect. And the metals in there, I believe this is a type K thermocouple, which is aluminum and chrome inside. And those two metals arc because of the temperature. The temperature physically makes those metals arc and touch each other. They produce that output of 30 millivolts. And when it gets cold, they do the opposite arc and touch in a different place and do it again. So that's essentially
what effect does that bring? It's
producing small amounts of voltage utilizing the interface with temperature variance.
Okay.
And we're feeding that directly into the soil.
Got it. Okay.
So we're collecting and we're generating with these antennas. There's thermocouples that literally directly generate in relation to ambient temperature, Seebeck effect. And there's generators out. There's a company, I'm not trying to like plug them or anything, called like Piggy Power or something. And they make Seebeck effect generators where you can plug your appliances like your phones and your laptops.
Wow.
And one side of it goes on top of something hot, like a hot plate or a burner or a fire. And the other side has a tube that goes to a simple bucket of water. And that temperature difference produces voltage. And that's the Seebeck effect. So they're Seebeck generators.
Wow.
So we're using that effect in the thermocouple to produce directly for our systems. Because like 30 millivolts, low voltage. And one thing that's important too, I think, is we're looking for the voltage to always vary. We want changing stimulation. And I was just on a call with some bacteria experts, and I explained that to them. They thought it was a consistent voltage. As soon as I explained that it was variable, all the time, every nanosecond it's different, they were like, oh, well then that's probably going to be really good for bacteria because it doesn't allow one bacterium to dominate.
Oh yeah, well, especially when you understand microzyme. I'm sure you connect with Dr. Marizell.
Loved her so much.
Yeah,
her work was great.
Yeah, it's allowing it to work with like the pleomorphic cycle essentially.
Yep. Me and her had some really interesting, we did a panel together at Elementals. And
I would have loved to have been a fly on the wall for that.
We wish you were there. I thought you were coming.
I would say I wish I was there, but it was nice to be in Hawaii with my wife.
Oh, I know. Life is, that's your path. You're where you're supposed to be.
Yeah.
But I ended up really loving her whole vibe. We were on the panel together, and one of the questions we were asked in the panel was like, when did you kind of realize there were snakes on the plane, to say the least? When did you kind of like have some sort of like, so I was after her in the panel. She was the third, I was the fourth person, and then Chris Crutchfield. For her, Kyle Denton, and then Topher. So there was 5 of us.
Awesome.
It was on ether, really, but we got into all kind of stuff. And I'm sitting there like kind of preparing my answer because you're listening to everybody's answers leading up to you, and you're like, you don't want to forget. So I'm trying to engage, I'm trying to listen, but don't forget what your story is because you might skip your mind or something.
Yeah.
And it was like, okay, you were 10 years old. It was, it's 1992. She starts out her answer. Well, it was 1992. I was 10.
You're like,
I looked at her. I was like, no way. Are you taking my story? Like, turns out we had like a very overlapping kind of life timeline on some areas that we're going to have more talks about it. But
I love that. Man.
Energy wise, like we're peas in a pod.
She's awesome.
Her husband's super cool too.
Oh, he is so funny.
Man. I love their energy. Like I realized as I got older, like I kind of love New Yorkers.
Me too, man.
I used to think like growing up in the South, but I realized what I was calling New Yorkers were people from Boston.
Mm-hmm. Fair.
I was judging.
Also, I love them though because they're real.
Yeah, no, and they're
real.
not.
They're straightforward,
and they like they're all about the like razzing and the
100%.
Love it, man. Let's make fun of each other.
I know.
That's what life is about. Like,
dude, some of my closest friends, I don't know that we ever say anything nice to each other.
No, that's what I'm saying.
Like all we do is talk shit.
Yeah, that's how you know you're close.
Exactly.
That's how you know it's a real one. Like,
exactly.
That's how you know there's the love because you don't even have to like pay lip service to that.
No,
it's so abundant that it's like we got to balance this love out.
So true.
This stuff's getting too over. It's taking over.
So true, man.
So these right here, these spears on top, we're utilizing the surface area. Okay. That's why there's so many of them. We're utilizing the surface area of this ferrous metal, this steel here, because copper is great. Copper is an awesome conductor, and it's also a bandwidth filter, has so many beautiful uses, but not everything is about copper. It's about the diversity of these metals.
Okay.
Even this specifically is about dissimilar metals at dissimilar temperatures create energy.
Yeah.
I mean, how much more paradox could we get?
Right.
Right. So these are collecting cations directly, like as the solar winds flow, that's full of positively charged ions. We put these antennas above 15 feet, the higher the better.
That's what I was going to ask. Is so that screws onto something else.
Yes. So this is mounted like on my farm. They're all up about 25 feet. That's kind of
so that's what you'd mentioned, that at 15 feet or above. Remind me what is happening there?
So around 15 feet above the surface is the natural pairing, the natural rephasing of our, coupling, if you will, of the two forces to create the fertility. That's already happening, right? And that's why we notice after a lightning storm, everything greens up because the plasmatic discharge of lightning produced abundant extra cations or positive ions. A lot of them will make it close enough to then reconcile with the anions and create more fertility.
Got it.
Fix ammonias into nitrogens, all the things that electricity does for soil elements. It gives the soil microbes hypermobility, increases their ATP, their energetic currency, then they work more efficiently. So yeah, it is about them, but they're a part of the chain of effect.
Got it.
They're not the catalyst of action. They require a power supply just like we do, like everything else. They're not autonomic from God's love. Like they're in there, part of it too.
So that's why you put yours
Yes.
20 to 25 feet.
Yes, you're wanting to go above 15 feet so that you, and every like 8-10 feet above that, it's exponential.
Wow.
So if there's like
exponential in terms of yield and like crop health and soil health?
exponential amount of available positive ions.
Got it. Okay.
So like if you're up at 20 feet and there's, let's just make up a number. Let's say there's 120. Like that's not a real calculation.
Yeah.
If you went 8-10 feet up, there'd be 240. Or
Wow.
It's like exponential
Got
every
it.
time. Like it's not just doubling. It's like
Got
it's
it.
exponential availability. And of course it's always varying.
Mhm.
But in general, it's
Got it.
exponential. Sometimes more than others. Like after a lightning storm, you're going to find above 15 feet, you're going to find a real abundance.
Wow.
Because most of them don't make it close enough. They're
Yeah,
just flowing out there.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So we put these antennas up. I say 25 feet's a sweet spot because you're like kind of 2 levels almost above that 15 feet mark. And you're also putting it up at a level to where it's manageable. Because I mean, ideally, you throw this guy up at like 50 feet. That's not manageable for most people. That's kind of crazy.
Yeah, you'd have to have a super like thick,
or like
antenna.
a military antenna trailer.
Yeah, something like
So
that.
send it up 80 feet.
Yeah.
And I want one of those, but like I don't have one. And it's not practical. We want this stuff to be practical. It's for farmers. It's for pragmatic people who make their money growing food, like at its core. And then you can extend it out to anyone who wants to grow anything for any reason. But at its core, that's who I work with. You know, I work with pragmatic farmers, a lot of them conventional, organic, all sorts of ways, wanting to do better. And realizing that they have low power supply. That's the fertility issue. So we put them up high to collect those abundance of cations that aren't already going to pair and reconcile. That's the point of putting it up high. Otherwise, we could put it anywhere. Now, when you have a stick, whether it's metal or a wooden stick wrapped with the wire, and you just stick it in the ground, your fluxing potentials, which there won't be much because you're already down so low.
That's what I was wondering, like with any of the electroculture rods that I had done a few years ago, I'm like, dude, I had like a 3-foot stick wrapped with copper.
Yeah, and
like,
I mean, that's okay. Like if it brings you joy, I always say this to people all the time. They'll like even be like, should I not be doing this? And I'm like, there's no shoulds here. If it brings you joy and it gets you out in your garden, knock yourself out.
Yeah.
If you want to apply comprehensive electroculture and have it really blow you away, that's different.
Yeah.
But it's just different agendas.
Totally.
I've even talked people out of it because I'm just like, yeah, it seems like what you're really doing, maybe, and what you're really after, you know.
A little bit different than what this is.
Yeah. And that happens. Like, I'd rather do that than like try to sell somebody something that they don't really want. They just don't know that yet. Like, and sometimes when you talk to enough people over years about one thing, you can start to identify those patterns.
Totally.
And you're like, I think you're probably, and a lot of times they really end up being appreciative.
Yeah.
Because they're already kind of torn and you kind of help them
Make the decision.
You're like, yeah, you know what?
Yeah.
Write it out for now. I got you whenever. I'm here. I'm making these all the time. Like I have a website. Like you can go buy it.
Right.
But like, don't feel pressure. Or when people are trying at a live event at my booth, I do vending booths oftentimes when I speak and kind of do it all. And it'll be like there'll be people who just instantly get it. And then people who I hear a lot of times, well, that's over my head. My response is it can be over your head if it's under your heart. Because we literally utilize things like, could you build the car you came here in? Could you program the phone you called your friend on a minute ago? Could you even raise the produce that you ate? Probably not. So like to be that needy of competence, I get it. I want to know too, but it's probably not going to happen today in front of me right here.
Yeah.
It's okay to take some time.
Yeah.
Take the time. Like that's what I'm always like, take your time. Come to the understandings or don't. But like, it's not a crisis. Like when it's presented as a crisis, like I must understand this today while I'm with you. It's like, that's a crisis.
Yeah.
And usually it's related to an identity crisis because you have this understanding, like you don't have to defend the truth. You know, it's like a lion. You just set it free, it'll defend itself. And so people feel that, like your heart knows truth.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, there's some truth. Now I've got to reconcile that into my mind.
Yes.
And then, God forbid, I actualize the truth. God, that's crazy. And I get that because in other facets of life, I mean, I'm the same guy too. Like I'm not separate from anyone or any of these things I'm speaking on from any like vantage point of superiority. I just mean
Right.
like you get to see these patterns, and there's like, sometimes it's a resistance. Sometimes it's like, well, I know I'm not going to do that. So I'm going to talk the validity out of it, which is impossible to do. So that causes frustration.
I mean, you see that happen all the time when you try to bring up like vaccines to pediatricians.
It's
or
the
something
same
like that.
thing.
Yeah,
It's the same thing. And it's like, well, you've decided what you believe. I am not interested in fighting that.
Right.
But if you decide you want different information that I can help you with, please let me know.
Right.
It's just an offering.
Yeah.
It's just an offering. It's an invitation. That's what it all is.
Yeah.
It's an invitation to embrace something that your heart remembers.
Amen.
And, and like apply it and use it every day. Like my personal farming life like really shifted when I started allowing myself to bring forth these things into our home farm. Because I used this equipment for years before I even was like, I didn't even have an Instagram. I didn't have anything. I was like so resistant to that. And it finally became like kind of too big to not share.
Yeah.
Kind of started feeling like, man, this is too cool and fun. Like I need like more people to like have fun with this with me.
Well, here's what I want to ask you. Because I still have some questions related to that.
Sure, no, I'm not even done about that.
No, you're not done. One question before you get back to the antennas. A lot of people might be looking at this and understand it conceptually, and then they're like, yeah, but does it actually do anything? Like this seems too abstract woo-woo, or like, yeah, I could see how it works in theory. Conceptually, it makes sense, but does it actually work?
Is it just anecdotal?
Right.
Oh yeah, so I was prepared for that reality. So when I first put my antennas up, I knew they were functional. Like I was confident with the equipment. By that time, I'm putting it up. I bought a geotrencher, like a trenching chainsaw from New Zealand, so I could make really skinny but deep trenches, like in the middle of crops that were already planted, like really cool stuff. And started putting in comprehensive systems with galvanized steel, 12 gauge conductors, like all the stuff I knew was right as far as the people before me who had had success. I was prepared for it to be little to nothing of result. I just needed to fulfill that circuitry. If I have an inspiration, it needs to be inspired. That's a circuit. That's a completion of a circuit. I needed to complete that circuit. Also, like if I don't, it's inevitable someone else will pick up that idea and they'll do it. And then I'll be like, man, that's what I wanted to do. I don't want to feel like that. I want to feel resentment.
Yeah.
I don't want to feel remorse or resentment. Like I hate that.
Yeah.
Like I'm not going to make a conscious choice to feel it. It's inevitable. So let those times be your times.
Right.
Like
in life.
Yeah. Right. So like put the systems up, was expecting perhaps a little advantage, maybe a little crop yield boost. That's kind of what you seem to hear about a lot. The things get bigger. Now, as a vegetable producer, I quickly caught on to that. Wasn't really the thing because it's like, well, no, most of the stuff you see out there are stuff that you wouldn't want to get big. It's a failure.
Yeah.
Like a zucchini this big is a failure in farming. You need it when it's like perfect size because the seeds get too big in relation to the flesh. The skin gets thicker. That's like, I call it zucchini bread mafia. Like, when it's just like all the zucchinis are like, that's all you can do with it.
Yeah.
Practically.
Yeah.
And when you sell to like high-end restaurants, especially, they're like discriminatory. Like you got to have everything on point.
Yeah.
And like okra isn't supposed to be huge. It starts getting really weird and tough and extra slimy when they're big.
Interesting.
And
I didn't know that.
Oh yeah. So you're trying to get okra when they're actually on the smaller side.
Okay.
So like there's all these variables as a producer, and like again, like a pumpkin that's like 800 pounds. That's like 4-H club.
That's
like state fair business.
You're right.
That's not producer business.
No,
that's
no.
That's nothing.
a spectacle.
You can't do anything with that.
Yeah,
but
it's
win
a
a
spectacle.
ribbon.
Exactly.
Yeah, you can get you a ribbon for that.
Yeah.
But what you do want when you grow pie pumpkins is a bunch of really perfectly sized, medium, high bricks, pie pumpkins with sweet flesh and like, a tender skin. And there's all these variables, there's all these characteristics you're looking for in each vegetable crop. And they have some overlapping similarities, but they're each unique. They're different species of plants. And what we like about them requires that we harvest them at certain times, at certain sizes, certain parts of the life cycle to be optimal.
Yeah.
For our perspective on them. So most of the stuff you see proliferated is like giant vegetables. And for some reason, like if you got a big beet or a big rutabaga or a big carrot, that's kind of like, cool, you got a big one. That's kind of cool. That's cool to get a big beet.
Yeah.
Because the whole beet's still good. It's just a big beet, right? They don't deteriorate. There's nothing worse about it.
Right.
You can still chop it up. You just get a lot more. right? So those things are cool. Like roots, vegetables, yes, that's different. You want big root vegetables. You don't want big fruits in general. They also get more full of water. They're less sweet. Like there's all these factors. So when it comes to that was really what was highly promoted at the time that I was starting. If there was information, it was like, your stuff's going to get big. And I was almost like, well, that's kind of whack. But like, let's see, I don't really think that's true. But let's see. One caveat on that is that the ability of a fruit or a vegetable to get huge is somewhat of a testament to the amount of vital life force it had.
Yeah, makes sense.
Because it was able to just keep going.
Totally makes sense.
But that's not what we're after.
Right.
So that's the delineation there.
Right.
But no one ever made that delineation. No one ever said, here's a big ass, a squash that you wouldn't want to eat. But we're showing you this because we're showing you that it had so much vital life force energy, it was able to get this big. That makes sense to me, but not the way it was promoted.
Got it.
No one ever delineated these ideas. I try to. That's kind of what my work is. It's like I want to come in and delineate this like mess over here from all this wonderful stuff. The fiction, the fantastical fiction about electroculture is one fraction of impressive as the reality.
Oh, wow.
Like the reality is so much more impressive.
So what did you see then?
So we put systems in spring. Our first observation that summer wasn't even about yield. It was bugs. And I'm like, well, that isn't even really notably Japanese beetles. And it actually took us into the late summer to realize they weren't there. Because something that you always experience. And they were like, wait a minute, they're just not here. Like we didn't see one.
That is trippy.
I didn't understand it for many years. I do now and I'll tell you. But
yeah, I would love to know.
I didn't understand it. Now I started.
So this applies to like any other quote unquote pests.
Well, I'll explain. Japanese beetles are high chitin insects. So insects with high chitin, the insects that look metallic.
Yeah.
Japanese beetles are one of them.
Yeah.
June bugs, like that.
The Japanese beetles, that happens a lot in Kansas where I grew up too.
Yeah. So those types of insects, cicadas,
yeah,
those all look iridescent and metallic on their wings. That part of the wings called the elytra.
Oh, I already see where you're going with
They're
this.
dielectric.
Okay.
They're coated in chitin. Okay. So they use a positive charge coming down from the sun. It won't flow through, it won't conduct, so it gets accumulated on their wings, a positive charge. That's like their inner ear. So that's what they use to navigate. They use that field on their wings in response to the environment to navigate and to decide what is appropriate food, to decide everything. That's their navigational center.
Wild.
When they encounter a low voltage field, it depolarizes the charge on the elytra, and it's basically like vertigo. Whoa. And they leave. They're not harmed, they just leave.
Wow.
They're just not there. It's not their spot. And when you look at the magnetic field of Japan versus US, it's quite different. So that makes sense.
100%.
So I just imagine back home, they're like chilling. But
yeah, they're probably fine back home. And they're probably
not a pest.
like, not
just
a pest. Exactly.
Beetle.
They're in the right context. Exactly.
Just a beetle here.
Yeah.
Like a Brazil nut. It's just a nut in Brazil. So they just weren't there.
Uh-huh.
I only came to this understanding last year after 9 more years.
Trying to figure out like why.
9 more years. Now, I did come to a much earlier understanding that is relative to most garden pests. The beetles with the high chitin insects, that's kind of a different mechanism that's making them not want to be there.
Okay.
Because they have that positive charge for navigation. That's a more recent realization, just because of a lot of works with dielectrics. I was like, oh my God, this is it. I figured it out. But other insects, like your regular garden pests, non-chitin rich wings and all that, what happens is because of the electrical stimulation, the available energy in the soil, minerals are not static. Minerals go through octaves of expression. And you can see that very clearly on the Russellian periodic table of elements versus our Western period.
Right.
I like to call it the table of elemental periodicities because they're constantly changing in their periodicities, like frequencies. So when I was developing the rock mineral program, to touch back on that real quick, when I had the conscious crisis and was like, now I've got to do something different than using all these animal inputs, I had come to some observations about the relationship between like boron and nitrogen just through farming. But then I had a copy of the Russell periodic table that my wife had framed for me eons ago, like way before this. that I always had up in my little office. And I was always interested in it and looking at it and trying to make sense of it. But I was staring at it, just standing there, not even meaning to stare at it, just it's on the wall. And I saw this nitrogen and boron thing with a carbon in between, right? And I'm not saying I had it all figured out, but I was like, oh, there's an octave relationship with like boron being a 4th octave mineral and then nitrogen being a 5th octave, and they're separated by this carbon chain. And I was like, man, there's something. And I've already observed that when I apply this boron, this ulexite mineral, that I get a response that looks more nitrogenous. Leafy green growth, fast growth.
Yeah.
And nitrogen is the big one in agriculture. Nitrogen is the big deal, as far as NPK, more or less. That's the dilemma. The Strait of Hormuz.
That's what I was just about to say.
Yeah, that's the dilemma. It's urea.
Yep.
Or whatever, but that's ammonia. So ammonia is not like what plants are using. It's nitrogen, but it has to be converted, right?
Mm-hmm.
It needs electrical stimulus to convert it. That's known. So that happens in the atmosphere too.
Mm-hmm.
So we're providing that. So our soils are never accumulating ammonia. When soils do accumulate ammonia on toxic levels, which just means a little more than out of balance, the plants within those soils start interacting with infrared light differently. They start receiving more of it.
Interesting.
And getting hotter. Bugs can see those wavelengths visually.
So this goes back to what I've heard then. I'd imagine I know the answer to this, but bugs and quote unquote pests will only start eating plants that are already a little bit unhealthy.
Nailed it.
Yeah.
So they see that heat signature.
Yeah.
And they're like, boom. It's like a pickpocket looking for someone, and they see a dude half drunk with cash hanging out of their pocket on La Rambla in Barcelona, and they're like, that's the guy.
That's the guy. Yeah.
That's the guy. And that's the plant.
Yeah.
Those are the plants.
Yeah.
So they go and they infest those plants, and then the bugs spread the soil-borne disease because what most plant pests do is they travel from the aerial leaves to the soil, and they'll burrow in there at night, or different pests have different behaviors, but they all basically go to the dirt and climb back up.
Got it.
And like if there's anything systemic, they're spreading that. It's a domino effect of detriment.
Got it.
When low energy supply is in the soil.
Uh-huh.
When you correct that, it's a domino effect of benevolence the opposite direction. Everything starts changing, and there's stuff we can explain, and there's stuff we can, terms like apoptosis and ATP and all this stuff. But at the end of the day, you can say it simply, we're providing the power supply for the biology to go through those phases of expression. We already have virtually in most areas, there are areas with highly depleted soils, and there's areas with like caliche where it's so mineral rich. But that's where we need to get our fertilizer from. It's from mineral-rich soil that can't grow anything because it has too many minerals.
Uh-huh.
We can take some of that, put it in mineral-deficient soils, and then put the carbon matter back in the caliche.
Interesting.
And give it the carbon, give it the humus that it needs to activate all those minerals. Because that's a part of the requirement. It needs like an organic, a carbon skeleton, they call it.
Got it.
That's what biochar.
Uh-huh.
Biochar is a just perfect carbon skeleton. So when you have organic amino acids, that's really what these fertilizers break down. Natural organic fertilization products break down to. They need a carbon skeleton to like latch onto as like a matrix to live, like a home. And that's one of the reasons biochar is so great. So basically, fertility issues are simply basically a power supply issue.
Yeah.
I think that's what we're getting to
over
and over. But these antenna systems simply remediate that. And they bring that power supply back in and vectorize it where you're trying to grow the crop.
And what is the radius in which that is, covering?
Yep, like one antenna. Let's say. Good question. So one antenna connects to one conductor.
Okay.
So let me give you a visual of what these systems look like installed. The antenna is mounted about 25 feet up on a pole with a mount. There's rubber around this so that no metal-to-metal contact, because you don't want any bleed off into the pole itself, because then you're just grounding it right there.
Yeah.
Right? It's just like the wrap stick at that point. It's just grounding to one point because there's no conductor in the soil.
Got it.
Fluxing potential. And then, so this is mounted 25 feet. There's an insulated wire that couples to this coupler, very simply. The insulated wire, it's a copper wire, it's stranded copper wire. Stranded wire conducts better than solid wire. So the stranded copper wire goes down to the ground level. At the ground level, there's a little insulator sleeve. And within that insulator sleeve, you couple that insulated wire to a bare galvanized steel wire.
Interesting.
And this is so critical.
Okay.
The galvanized steel, the steel wire, the zinc-coated wire, not aluminized, the steel-coated wire, the zinc-coated wire with an iron core. So for induction, that's required.
Okay.
Because of magnetic permeability.
Okay.
Like it's ferrous, it's ferromagnetic. It's what we consider magnetic.
Got
right?
it.
Has high magnetic permeability for induction, whereas copper is diamagnetic in most cases. There's different types of copper, but I think there's one type of copper that's like slightly paramagnetic, but most of it is diamagnetic. It's not going to have that induction effect. It's great for conducting,
Okay.
but for induction, we require a ferrous core.
Most healthcare today operates on an outdated mechanistic model, treating the body like a battlefield rather than a self-healing system. You wait months for an appointment only to receive a rush diagnosis that labels you rather than truly understanding your unique health. Even in holistic health, many practitioners rely on endless lab tests and supplement protocols, addressing symptoms instead of the root cause. And the result? Another prescription or supplement regimen that merely suppresses or masks symptoms rather than facilitating true healing, whether the imbalance was physical, emotional, energetic, or a mix of all three. And that's why Dr. Tom Cowan co-founded the New Biology Clinic, to offer something radically different. As one of the most respected natural health doctors in the world, Dr. Cowan has spent decades challenging conventional medicine and advancing a deeper understanding of human biology, water, and natural health. His work isn't just about rejecting the mainstream, it's about offering a more truthful, biologically coherent approach for healing. The New Biology Clinic recognizes that health isn't about fighting disease, it's about restoring balance. You're not a diagnosis, you're an individual with a unique story, and healing should honor that. With virtual consultations available worldwide, the clinic offers a flat-rate monthly membership that gives you direct access to practitioners who take the time to actually listen. Members also get exclusive health live streams, a resource library, and live sessions covering everything from biofield tuning and breathwork to movement and meditation, all designed to support whole body healing. And if you're not ready for a membership, you can book a one-time appointment, sign up for an enrichment-only membership for the healing modalities alone, or schedule a free connection session with one of the care team members to see how the New Biology Clinic can help in your specific situation. This isn't about keeping you dependent on doctors. It's about making you sovereign over your health. Head to newbiologyclinic.com and use code THEWAYFORWARD, and that's spelled The Way, F-O-R-W-A-R-D, for $50 off account activation, or just head to the show notes for more info. If you're a member of The Way Forward, email hello@thewayforward.com for $150 off. Your body already knows how to heal, and New Biology Clinic helps you remember. Talk to me about both of those terms, just so I'm clear.
Well, conducting is just simply sending the energy, the electrical signaling.
Inducting is infusing it into the environment, right?
Induction is, like an induction stovetop.
Yes.
So it's taking like an iron that's in there. It's got, or sometimes the pot, you're supposed to use an iron pot.
Yep.
I believe, right?
My dad has one of those
so you're supposed to
stovetops.
use
It's
an
pretty
iron
wild.
pot. That iron pot is the iron component of the inductive stovetop.
Got it.
Because then it's producing a magnetic field and electrical signal.
Got it.
So once those things are all in place, like a recipe, you get induction. Like we have iron-rich blood.
Mm-hmm.
That's our thing. We have an iron, I would say core, but we have an iron planal plate down in there somewhere that's causing our induction field for our planet. I actually, I have a small theory on that kind of reconciles like flat Earth and globe Earth.
Okay.
And it has to do with the fields of induction, because induction creates an isotropic field, which is a spherical field of energy, right? Every isotropic field has like a planal energy source, has a plane. That's the reality of the shape. If you were to go from a perspective and view that, and it had an isotropic field that was strong enough to even contain the light, it would appear like a sphere.
That is interesting.
And I don't know that this is the fact, but this to me is what I see. So I find that a lot of times the real truth is some sort of amalgamation of truths.
Uh-huh.
And it's like, well, you're right in this case and you're right in that case.
Interesting. Okay.
And together you're ultimately both wrong. It's like, you know what I'm saying? It's like we could be seeing one thing and the reality is another. I mean, this happens all the time.
I've thought about that too with respect to even just the toroidal field that surrounds the earth. It's like Well, if you describe a human being and you describe the fullness of what a human being is, that it's within a
You're in a sphere
bubble.
too.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's our Wei Qi field.
Exactly.
Yeah, and that's our informational field. Like it's an educational field. Like we learn through that bad boy. Like everything I know, I feel like I glean out of this field. Like not meaning like just stuff that you're like, where did that come? Where's that? What's
inspiration,
that?
man.
Yeah, inspiration.
Divine inspiration is when you're like fully, well, I won't say fully embodied, but like very embodied within that field. And that means you're connected to God.
Yeah. I don't think you get that stuff if you don't actualize. Like if you get the inspire without the aspire, I think it stops coming, man. Because I've been there too. Where it's like idea, not doing.
Is that why Qigong is so important for you too?
And it's just the way I learned about this realm. That's why it's so important.
I've been doing Qigong for 5 years now.
I did know that you did that. Yeah. It's so important because it's a physical embodiment of everything else that's happening.
Yeah.
And you can always look to it for guidance.
Yes.
You can always say, how does this work within me? And now I know how it works without me.
Amen.
Without of me. Yeah.
Amen, man.
And then beyond that, it's our modality. You choose, to bring yourself to a parasympathetic state. There's all these side benefits, but the main benefit is just this teaching modality, teaching system that's given me most of the things that I value.
This is cliche almost for me, and I've only been doing it for 5 years now. But the biggest thing for me is it is a direct representation of where attention goes, energy flows.
Yeah.
Like it really is though.
Yeah. 100%.
Like more than any other meditation practice I've done, more than any of that stuff. It's like, it's a direct, it's hard to explain unless you've done it. It's like
small universe.
Yeah, man. It's a direct experience of it. It really is.
It's understanding the big universe through your small universe.
Yeah.
And that's why they call it microcosmic orbit, small universe. It's literally that. It's like you're going through the constellations and the sidereal bodies of your own inner self.
Yes.
And kind of mapping out that astrology. And then you're also able to see it as like what resists persists, kind of thing. And it's invaluable.
Invaluable.
It's helped 100%. Me understand anything that I feel like I'm doing now that I find to be the quintessence of my life. Like even through the agriculture, like I was very like with that until I really got the Qigong. And then it was like, okay. Now
that probably made your understanding of electroculture go berserk.
Oh, for sure. No, it was during a lecture. My main teacher, Dr. J. Michael Wood, who has passed, but my favorite, person I ever got taught anything by. And he was giving a lecture one night. I was deep into the electroculture, like trying to figure it out phase. And he literally said this one phrase, and I actually don't remember exactly what it was. All I remember was being overwhelmed at that moment by clarity. I saw the systems in my brain and was like, oh, I'm the conductor. I'm that wire. My bioway is this part. My feet, my K1 is that part. Flexing potentials, induction, energy, chi. I was
got it all like that.
I did. And then I went home and
so
the next day on the farm, I started building antennas.
That's so cool.
It was literally like that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And that's why I say it's like anything that I'm involved in now, I think really that was such a critical thing. And it was like, it's a journey. You go on learning it because you focus on your own stuff at first to try to get to like a reasonably clear point to where you could consider working on others. Yeah. Because that's such a thing.
Totally. So we've got to, what it does is like your quote unquote pests, they naturally, because the amount of, let's say, life force in the soil, the pests are no longer attracted to the plants because the plants themselves aren't becoming diseased, let's say.
They're not becoming weakened and a good host.
Okay.
And then you can see that mechanism expressed through how they interact with infrared light. You can chalk it up to the low voltage fields for the high chitin insects. There's all these different, those two primary ways, but those two things are quite significant.
No, those are huge.
You end up like literally not fighting pests. I mean, it used to be like 50% of my concerns were like, I got to keep the caterpillars off this. I got to keep the Colorado potato beetles off these nightshades. Got to keep the, everything. There's always there's something after everything. Yeah. There's always something trying to extract resources from everything. Yeah. Sometimes within a responsible realm and sometimes not. And it felt like irresponsible levels. You're like, oh my God, this place is it was just a fight.
Yeah.
I was just fighting the variables.
That's what you hear with a lot of organic farmers, though. You really
and it's
do.
their truth.
Yeah.
And those conventional farmers that mock them, not that that's everybody, but I'm saying the ones that do are sometimes right. And not that they're right from the right place.
No,
but they're right from the place that, well, yeah, like that, you probably aren't going to feed 5 families. I saw that sentiment yesterday from a guy who was really big in the regen movement, but not organic. And he was really criticizing, he was actually calling organic farmers like guard tards or something, like really something that I don't even really get. I don't know what that means. Maybe I'm out of the loop.
I don't know. Yeah. I don't know.
I was like, is that something new? Like, should I not say that?
Guard
But
tards.
it just basically saying like, oh, you guys are idiots. And it's like maybe the group he's referring to, I don't know.
Right.
I don't know what he's talking about. But like anyone who says you can't grow an abundance of food with essentially raw rock minerals, vegetable waste compost, and not much else, just hasn't tried it.
Yeah.
And that's a lot of people.
That's a lot of people.
I was prepared, honest, like I said, for kind of failure.
You're going to take an L, and then you went abundant.
Yeah.
And so with electroculture antennas, is your yield extended on any specific
Yes,
crop?
very much so. Because
that's what I want to know is like how often they're
so for
able
instance,
to produce.
like my snap peas and snow peas last year, I got, and I only say last year because I did a concerted comparison last year on those crops. We got about 5 weeks or so longer of a harvest window. Those things are huge. So these are the things, I'm glad you're asking that because these are the things that a real producer is going to find so attractive and pragmatic. Longer harvest windows, considerably less pest pressure, like hugely. Bigger yields. Bigger yields often come through the lack of loss.
Yeah.
So like you maybe could have potentially yielded that before, but you lost so much to disease or pest damage. Lack of disease, that's just vital life force energy.
It's so wild how much this relates to the body, but it's also not. Like, of course it does.
It's exactly the same.
It's all about
it's just the applications are different.
Really, totally.
Yeah.
I mean, it really is about the expression of life force energy like that.
As soon as I related it that way, my farming to my medical, as soon as I changed that, I started having success in farming.
Oh, that's so cool.
Like beyond what, beyond normal, like type stuff. Like
it's just wild because the overwhelming majority of farmers in general, but especially organic ones, think of things like electroculture, which is really pointing back to the electrical, the electromagnetic nature of things, or like component of things. I'd say as some sort of fringe thing to consider.
Peripheral,
but it's like peripheral. Exactly.
That's how I saw it.
Yeah, but it is the thing. It is like the primary thing of which everything else expresses around.
I actually say it all the time. When I first started this, I expected it to be peripheral.
Yeah.
At best.
Yeah.
Very quickly was proven wrong with that.
Now it's everything.
It's like, it's most of it.
That's what I mean.
You're not going to get away from not doing anything else.
Of course.
That's why I like to I'm the first person to be like, a lot of energetic work too is a call and response between, let's say, heaven and earth, or the cosmic and the terrestrial, the spirit and the material. As a farmer, I can exponentially benefit from my energetic practices through my labor, and vice versa. Like, because you're using the energetic resources, you have less labor. When you have less labor, that labor you are doing becomes more joyful. When there's successes from that labor, it becomes more joyful. All these things stack, these functions stack.
Yeah.
And pretty soon, you're not fighting anything. Not that you don't ever have a small, that's not as good as, that's not reality.
Right.
There's so many variables in our world, in our realm, in the natural world, in plant kingdom. There's so much going on. So it's like, but it's night and day. It's like you're fighting and you're not doing that well, to where it shifts over to not fighting, seemingly working way less for crazy better results. And then also realizing that like the medicinal quality of the food is higher, the angstrom level, like the light energy that stuff carries is higher. You realize like you're happy. All these things stack up and they're cause and effect. They're causal and effect based. Like it's a call and response between the quantum and like this realm. It's like, because I went and I joyfully did this labor, my energetic practices have just been amplified by my own joyful presence.
Amen.
Like Sarah Hieronymus would say, like the best fertilizer is the farmer's presence, or some people say the farmer's shadow. And there's so much truth in that. And you see that even with good producers who know that, but then they try to automate something, and the automated system never fails, but it doesn't do as well.
Wow.
Like an irrigation, because you never went out there.
Yeah.
Because you were going out there to water. But inadvertently, when you went out there to water, you did 10 other things because you saw they needed to be done.
Yeah, and it's also your presence. Like energetically, your presence as the steward.
Yes.
Like that matters.
You're responsible for that waveform.
Yeah.
That's how you have dominion.
Yeah.
That's how,
dominion.
Exactly.
Yeah. Dominion.
Exactly. That's how you have it.
Yeah. Man.
You have a responsibility and a privilege to set a waveform tone.
Yeah.
Everything seems to respond. So I'm saying this to say, I have had people who take what I say and they twist it a little bit and they say, oh, so I just put those in and don't do nothing else? And you're like, no. Come on, man. Come on.
It's all of the things that create the conditions for emergence. But
compounding variables.
That's why I loved my episode with Dr. Richard Massey. And this is not to say that other German New Medicine people negate like physical toxicity and malnutrition, because they don't. It's just that people misinterpret what they're saying. But Dr. Massey did a great job to explain like the layers there. It's all of it. It's not just the metaphysical while negating the physical or vice versa. It's like the inclusion of all of it, all the things that create the conditions for emergence.
Yes.
That's it.
Me and Chris Crutchfield were talking about that, how like malnutrition just kind of like sets the table for spiritual warfare.
It totally does.
So you got to wear them down.
Yeah.
And then hit them hard. You know what I mean? So
totally.
It's kind of like that.
Totally.
You know? And like living in that reality and at the same time not trying to be led around by that reality.
Yeah.
I think that's where the strength is.
That's good.
It's like, okay, I see that. I see what you guys are talking about.
Yeah.
I honor it. I respect it. Appreciate it. We got to point out the fuckery, but like, we don't want to roll around in it too long.
This is a great segue actually, because I wanted to talk to you about the effects using electroculture you've seen relative to geoengineering, because I've heard a lot about that.
Yes, that's an interesting topic. And you even have a large faction of people who think that's what it's for. Just because of the popularity of like cloudbusters.
Cloudbusters, and they conflate the two.
Yeah, Wilhelm Reich's work versus and then, Royal Reif's work with, it's all, unless you really go in there and wade through the waters, it can all get.
Totally.
And especially if like most of your information is social media based, it can get real like confusing real quick. So we do seem to notice this effect where so Tennessee is a state where it's illegal to spray chemtrail, right? But apparently they weren't even doing it, so that didn't matter to make it illegal because it wasn't even happening. We'll just go ahead and make it illegal. But so they did that, and then nothing changed.
Yeah.
I still see them as just as much, sometimes if not more.
Yeah.
I can't tell you I know what every one of them is.
Of course.
I observe them, and I acknowledge them. I see them. I don't let the fear go to my kidneys.
Amen.
That's energetic renal failure, and you're destined for something not good. It might just be not a good day, but like you got to see it, you got to be aware, but not emotionally react to it.
Yep.
But then take steps. Okay, what am I going to do? What can you do? Some of this comes down to what can we do? What we can do primarily is tune the voids, right? To where a lot of things don't affect us like that. So that's kind of like step one, Qigong. So there we go with that. It's kind of like the basis.
Yep.
Being skillful with energy. That's what that means.
I will say something interesting though that I've observed other people doing and I've done myself, and I really truly think anyone can do it. And it goes back to the principle of like what Veda Austin talks about, and especially that we have a biofield that is individuated, not individual, but individuated, that's connected to the ether. The ether is connected to the weather. First of all, I think of weather. My friend Pete coined this term, I believe. It's called we ether. Weather is we ether. It's like the collective manifestation of the energy and the emotional state of,
man. Yeah.
Right. And I was like, whoa, when that hit me. And it's also that because weather is comprised of water-based phenomena, and we know via Veda Austin's work and the work of other people that our thought and feeling when aligned has a direct impact on the physical expression of water, even if they're manipulating the weather in air quotes, which I do believe they're doing, we can absolutely impact that just by our state of being. And in some cases, like take your hand and impress chi upon your hands, really point your inner awareness to your hands and envision that weather pattern dissipating. And like, I've seen people do that in real time, and it's like, no, it's real. It's absolutely
That's
real.
setting up a polarity. I mean, I think that's why it's traditional, like in Appalachian culture, to like when the storm's coming, you go clean the front porch to welcome the storm. So it's creating this. It's actually also in medical Qigong how we deal with exorcisms. So we don't banish anything or treat it other than God. We offer it balance.
Wow.
Just like we would a living person. So there's this welcoming. And really, when you look at it like magnetic phasing, like the reason these antennas don't get struck with lightning is because they're full of basalt, which is paramagnetic, which is in phase with the cosmic rays. So it doesn't create a spark gap. If this was hollow or filled with a diamagnetic rock, like a limestone, it'd be apt to be struck.
Got it.
I actually have a neighbor who has like a multi-generational farm, and there's a pile of limestone by the barn. And the great-great-grandfather has instructed, and then each sequential generational owner instructed the next not to ever move the limestone. Because I was teaching my neighbor about this. And he was like, well, that's crazy, because I got this, he's very old country, straightforward.
Yeah.
But he knows truth, and he's actually an electrical line foreman. And he took my website to the head of NES, who's like Nashville Electrical Company, and that guy was like, this is all sensible.
Oh, really?
So from that, that's like his mentor.
Yeah.
But then he was kind of like, well, Jeff said this is legit. Like I gotta, So
That's awesome.
we went kind of nitty gritty with it. And he was like, well, he put it together. He was like, well, what? That's interesting, because we got this pile of lime, because the limestone pile will be struck, not the barn,
Yeah.
because it's diamagnetic nature.
Yeah.
So there's something there about the phases and the energetic phases coming from the heart resonance of someone who goes and cleans off a porch or cleans up the outside of the property. And I started doing that years ago. It works.
No shit.
It works. I do.
So when you see a store becoming like
I
clean,
start tidying up
yeah.
and being like, okay, welcome in. Let me make this place nice.
Well, I mean, shit, feng shui is an element of
There you
Qigong.
go.
So
you can
like,
change the boom.
dude.
And feng shui at its core is really biological building,
Yes,
which
it
is tuning voids
Yes, it is.
by shapes. Because they'll tell you to
man.
change the shape of the awning
Yeah.
if you're having an illness.
Yeah.
Because it deflects the frequency different. It just changes
Totally.
it changes the shape of the drum.
Yep.
And that's really what it's doing.
That's cool.
Yeah.
I'm going to start doing that when storms are coming. That's cool.
Yeah. And
I like
then
that.
we use the field broadcaster. So the electroculture systems, I don't promote them to people or ever try to sell them to people or like make weather modification remediation their purpose.
Right.
Straight and clear, because that's not really how I use them primarily.
Right.
We do notice some effects of mitigation, but we do so many things. We do several things, and so you don't always want to attribute it to one and not the other. The electroculture, the copper. Now, one of the things that is cool about copper, I mean, I love copper, but I try not to also make it about a copper cult thing, because you really see that. It's like over the top about copper, but even to the point where a lot of the naysayers would be like, oh, the ground just needed some copper minerals, and that's why it did better. It's like, no. But beyond that, the paramagnetic nature of these antennas is very important. That's what I'm getting at. I lost my train of thought. What was
Weather
that?
modification.
Weather
That's what I'm-
modification. So we notice an effect. We notice that it seems to, I guess, help, I'll say. But again, we're using other things too, like heart resonance.
Of course.
I'm kind of just now realizing that that's kind of from what you're saying, but that's intentionally why we do that, is because it's like, oh, there's this. Otherwise, you tend to put out a fear.
Yes.
So you
Yes.
kind of have to choose there. It's kind of binary almost. You're like, okay, I'm going to do this fear thing, or I'm going to do this like
I'm
welcome.
scared of weather modification, so I'm going to do this thing versus like, this is going to harmonize my environment.
Yeah,
This
a
is gonna help
solutionary
harmon- yeah,
method.
totally.
And now we also do use field broadcasters, which are like a Tesla crystal radio circuit and a big broadcast coil. There's one in the earth and one in the sky.
Wow.
So I do also like homeopathy
wow.
with the broadcasters.
Okay, is that different than the radionics thing?
That is radionics
Okay,
for
that's-
essentially.
Yeah.
And that's so Thomas Galen Hieronymus.
Can you talk to me about that a little bit? Because I
Yeah,
saw a video,
yeah.
I think that you collab with Topher on,
Yeah.
and it was these little paper pieces that you
yeah.
wrote intentions on and then put them in the bottom of the tower that you
PVC.
had. Yeah, please share about it a little bit.
So these are I call mine a heaven and earth patterns broadcaster. That's what I call mine.
Cool. I
There's
love that.
there's two other gentlemen who basically before me pioneered this.
Okay.
There's a few others who were definitely highly involved, but as far as what people are going to know, primarily, Thomas Galen Hieronymus is the first guy. He's the OG. He was a World War II radio operator. After the war, went back to his farm in Georgia, and then started tinkering. with radio knowledge and farming, and basically creates this device, I believe in the early 80s or late 70s, that he called the cosmic pipe. And it was very similar to the one in the video. It was just going in the soil. It wasn't a double towered one. Didn't have an atmospheric broadcast. Had just a soil broadcast. And this is a simple Tesla crystal radio type circuit that consists of a choke coil, a resistor, a capacitor, and a crystal. So Tesla crystal radios are like open band radios. This is like an open band radio, but it has a variable input well where you can put information into a coiled well that's connected to the circuit that resists that the resistor replicates the pattern of. The diode is a diode in the circuit. The diode only allows that energy to go one direction. That's what a diode is, like a one-directional valve.
Yep.
So in this case, it's going toward the earth in the soil broadcast. And in the case of the aerial broadcast, it's a mirror image and the energy goes upwards into the atmosphere. And it's like a 100-turn broadcast coil on each end. And they're radios, essentially. They're soil radios, what you saw. And then you have some that are bigger. Like I have those two that are soil and atmosphere radios. The one you saw was only in the soil. And that's like Galen's device, Thomas Galen Hieronymus' device, the cosmic pipe. So this is a crystal radio for the soil. You could put your information in there. It could be anything from minerals that you wanted to broadcast the vibrational rates of. In radionics, we use the term vibrational rate. It means frequency. Yeah. But it's non-Hertzian. So it's outside of that per second range. So we're dealing with frequencies that are Hertzian and also non-Hertzian outside of that per second calibration. So you put your information in. The piece of paper you saw is a field map. So that one broadcaster broadcasts over 200 acres.
Okay.
So I don't have 200 acres. So I'm limiting my broadcast as to not impress my will upon my neighbors. Because the trepidation of like treading on wills is like, it's pretty much the only way you accrue like what we would consider karma. Like to have no karma is what you want. Mm-hmm. It's not a good type, really. Yeah. It's just you don't want it. Yeah. Right? Like to be without it is good. Yeah. So we're creating that, you know?
So basically on that piece of paper, the field map is like, this is my property perimeter distance relative to this thing that is broadcasting, and that is the intention that is going into.
Yep. And in that broadcaster you saw, so I have a double tower broadcaster that covers my whole farm, atmospheric and terrestrial. Uh-huh. You can think of that as a broad application. The one you saw was a broadcaster specifically for one greenhouse.
Wow.
So I can work with that broadcaster for just that space.
Got it. So the intention you're setting there is probably more specific and relative to that greenhouse.
That crop.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
And you can do that. You can overlap. I could exclude that zone from the area, from the big broadcast or I can overlap it. So you can think of it as like, well, I want to broadcast lime, for example, I want to broadcast lime and alfalfa over my whole field, but I only want to give nitrogen to my brassicas.
Yeah.
Right. So that's how you can customize these broadcasts.
Yeah.
They're amazing. So after Galen Hieronymus, he had a student named Hugh Lovell. Hugh Lovell's who most people are going to associate. He got tired of people asking him, what are you smoking in your cosmic pipe? Because he's like a quantum physicist turned farmer kind of guy. And he got annoyed. He had a temper too, because I know I'm close with one of his best friends.
Okay.
He tells me little things about him. So he's like, he really had a temper. Like, because he would be the guy at Acres back
probably because he was getting shit on by everyone, man.
But we had this discussion a couple weeks ago that never served him.
Yeah.
And like, I think even he knew that, but his reaction.
Like his anger, his reaction.
Never served him.
Yeah, makes sense.
Because he was at Acres. He was at the same conferences I'm at today, promoting field broadcasting and stuff. And I'm there with field broadcasters and electroculture. And I'm that guy. Yeah. And I know what he's getting. And it was even more back then.
Yeah.
I know what he was getting. I get the motivation to feel that way. Yeah. But it never helps.
But it's also like the proof is in the pudding.
That's what I always say. That's how I ended my talk at Elementals. I said, the proof is in the pudding, and I just like to make pudding. I don't want to talk about pudding. I don't want to speculate on pudding. We got to make it and then see. Is it good?
Have you seen Billy Madison?
A long time ago.
Okay. Yeah. It reminds me of like the snack pack scene with the pudding.
Yeah.
With the kid at the table.
Oh, that's a good movie.
That is a great movie.
That's actually probably the one I like the best from
It's hilarious. There's
Sandler.
So many quotable
and Little
lines.
Nicky, I like.
Little Nicky's fun.
That one's so silly, man. I love seeing the devil just personified as like this goofy Adam Sandler. You know?
I know, man.
Or maybe I guess he was the kid, but like.
Yeah. I get what you mean.
Yeah, so radionics. Yeah, we use that heavily, and it's homeopathy.
Yeah.
but applying it through radio waves.
So cool. Makes total sense to me.
Interestingly enough, like Hugh Level has passed as well. The folks that were surrounding him, they're all from Georgia, right? They're all from like, I think Lakemont, Georgia. So they would always go to the biodynamics conference in Tennessee, hosted by Jeff Poppin, who's a somewhat famous farmer. They call him the Barefoot Farmer. He was also—
Oh, I know who that is.
Yeah. He's a friend of mine, and he hosts an event every year, the Biodynamics Conference for the Southeast, right? And I've done that event for years now. It's like I consider it a very paramount event for me every year. It's like it's like a family reunion.
Yeah.
It's not about selling things. It's just like a informational collective time 3-day event where a lot of cool people come from all over and we have our thing, you know. He's been a great resource because I've gotten a lot of old stories and back information. And then he connected me with like Hugh Level's widow, who interestingly enough is also the widow of Christopher Bird, you know, who wrote Secret to the Soil. And
interesting.
so it's like kind of an informational powerhouse, you know.
Yeah.
But a lot of people know so Hugh Level, he was taught by Galen Hieronymus. He developed the double tower broadcaster. In his mind, his contribution, his big contribution to that was, well, we need a broadcast for the soil, but we need also one for the air, because in biodynamics, there's this mirroring, there's this silica pattern in the cosmic silica pattern.
Well, it also makes sense from like an elemental's perspective too, though. Like you got to hit both the water and the earth, and then the fire and the air.
And that's how he saw it too.
Yeah.
Like he saw it very quantum, like he could use any language, you know. It's very spiritual and also very scientific.
Well, because it is all of it.
It is all.
It's
right.
all of it.
It was full science.
The things that work really well are the things that can hit all domains and be explained in
1
all
million
domains.
trillion percent.
Yeah.
Yeah. And he knew, or he thought his passion was, I need to develop the aerial broadcast. So that was his contribution. And then it became known as he got tired of the term cosmic pipe and called it the quantum field broadcaster. Okay. That's how most people recognize that device today.
Cool.
I got super interested. My radionics education was not asked for. I learned from my Kung Fu teacher, who's like the most, he's an epic Kung Fu teacher. Like I was looking for like a really serious Kung Fu teacher years and years ago. And when my son was 6, and found this guy from the Philippines, David Cruz, and he was near my area. And he taught these styles that are like really hard to find, like Shaolin styles that are like, you don't see them very often. I didn't know much about him, but I called him, I got his number, and went over for like a first class. He was like, I really don't take many students, but like I don't really have many students right now, so I'll teach you and your son, right? So I took my son, like he went when he was like 6, you know. Actually, we didn't go to our first class until on his 7th birthday. So 7th birthday, we go to our first class. It was a cool experience. It was like 5 hours long. And I grew up doing a lot of martial arts, like Korean martial arts. So I thought of a martial arts class as like an hour and a half type thing. So I'm like in there for 5 hours, and I'm like I'm like in his house. So I'm getting a feel for the man. And at this point, we're like super close. I mean, I love him, but I'm a very eccentric guy, you know, and I'm looking around, I'm like, man, what's he up to? And you watch him do the Kung Fu. He was actually the United States champion. He's like amazing. Like still, he's just unreal. Like I'll never be as talented physically as this guy, you know. And that's the type of teacher you want.
Yeah.
You want a teacher who's like, oh my God.
Yeah.
He destroys me, you know? But so honestly, the first class was kind of intense, not physically, like energetically for me. Like everything about it, like the information. He was talking like the whole time about really heavy stuff. I'm talking about not Kung Fu. It is Kung Fu. Everything is Kung Fu. Right. I learned later, but it was really heavy stuff. He's a biblical scholar. He's really into the Levitical priesthood, all these different things. And I was just like, he's just kind of going on about stuff, and I'm trying to learn this Kung Fu, but I was interested in everything he was saying. I was kind of torn. And at the end of it, he's like, yeah, okay. That was kind of like a preliminary audition for both of us, like on both sides. Like, yeah, you guys coming back or whatever? And I was kind of like, yeah, we're coming back, you know? We start going back. And by lesson 2 or 3, he asked me, basically he tells me like, you can't really pay me for this, like money. Like Kung Fu is energy time. That's what it means. He's like, so I need your help, basically. I need your help. I need your time with the stuff that I do. And I'm like, what do you do? You know? And it turns out he's like a professional radionics, like photo radionic, like master. He like finds things for people through photos.
Wow.
And dowsing and Hieronymus instruments. And I didn't know that term at the time, but like he gets me a pendulum, this big piece of tungsten steel, and he has me dowse, you know, hold it over. I didn't know how to dowse at the time. Has me hold it over these pictures pictures on computer paper that he's shrunken down to where they're a dot. So you can't make out the photo, but it's a photo. But they're shrunken down to a dot. So I start doing the thing he's telling me to do, holding my elbow down, doing all the thing he's telling me. I get to this one photo and it's a heavy piece of tungsten steel. It's like a bolt.
It's pulling towards it.
It just starts spinning and getting heavier,
Yeah.
right? And I was like, whoa. He's like, oh, so you can dowse. That's what I need. I need you to do that thousands and thousands and thousands of times over and over while I operate this equipment. I need a blind dowser
Wow.
to douse photographs because I'm into, like, it's radiesthesia once you enter the mind into it. It's a different practice, also valuable, also great.
Yeah.
Different practice.
What was the application for?
Finding things and people that are missing.
No
So
way.
like people would send us so I ended up working with this, I ended up doing this for like 7 years.
Wow.
Like going to Kung Fu. We'd do like 5 hours of Kung Fu. And then we'd go into the other
You're
room.
solving crime cases?
I would give him as much time as he gave me.
Holy
So we'd be
shit.
over there for like 8 to 10 hours.
Whoa.
My son was there for every single session.
That's so
He got like this
cool.
education when he was like 7. Maybe 7 to 12 or something.
God,
yeah,
man, that's so cool.
and he wasn't like actively there to learn it, but he's sitting there like.
Yeah.
And so I just start, we start off and I'm just dowsing. I'm just like holding this thing in this very specific non-metallic surface, all these different requirements.
Of course.
And like, he gets people that like hire him for this thing, and like it's working out. Like,
Gosh,
he
dang.
also uses it to develop like healing modalities and stuff. Like, it's really interesting. Like, he's the type of person that is so deep in those things that it's hard for him to function in the rest of the world. you
Yeah.
know? So, but yeah, this was our teacher, and like I learned radionics from him. And maybe about a month in, he, like I said, it was years and years, but about a month into it, he gives me this CD-ROM, and he's like, I downloaded all this stuff for you. You need to go check this out, right? So at this point, I'm farming, and I haven't gone to Qigong school yet. I'm farming, and I'm doing the Kung Fu, and seeing them as like separate, and helping him with the radionics dowsing, and seeing it all kind of these two different things. The CD was all the work of Thomas Galen Hieronymus, which connected what we're doing there with agriculture. So I let it sit there for weeks before I'm like that. I'll be like, that's not the time.
Yeah.
A couple weeks later, I was like, that's the time. Let's go.
Yeah.
Put it in, blew my mind. Like, changed all that information, flipped everything for me. Like, I was like, oh my goodness, like we're dealing with something. Like, this guy's a magus, like this
Yeah.
guy's teaching me some real stuff here. And I realized the value of it. I was like, oh my, how did I even, this is a unique situation.
Yeah.
And he trained me in radionics, like really thoroughly, like beyond just using machines that
Yeah.
are made by other people. Like,
Do you ever do the method, which is also very, very similar to homeopathy? It's basically the same thing of writing something on a piece of paper and putting water over the top of it and then drinking that water.
I have done a lot of different things like that, including like talismans that are written on rice paper, and then you actually burn the paper into the water.
Oh,
That's a cool one too. Like that's like
That's
a big in
cool.
Qigong,
Okay.
like medical level Qigong.
What is the difference between medical Qigong and traditional Chinese medicine? I'm sure you get that question.
Traditional Chinese medicine is a more broad spectrum of
Okay.
things that include acupuncture and
Yeah.
just kind of all the modalities, cupping.
Yep.
Like that's, all the modalities.
Yep.
And then medical Qigong is utilizing more of a specific medical versus non-medical Qigong is simply, they both mean energy skill.
Of course.
Qigong. When you do Qigong, you're typically doing it on yourself,
Mhm.
for yourself,
Yep.
with your own circuit. Medical Qigong is to train to be able to take that energy outside of your body and then use it with other people, but very responsibly.
So in its greatest application, that looks like the ability to literally use quote unquote acupuncture with the chi that you have focused into your hands.
With medical Qigong, you're going to learn how to do acupuncture without needles.
Yeah.
So that's 100%. Like, you learn everything within TCM, you just learn it through how to do it through
Cultivating inner chi.
your own tools.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
exactly.
cool.
Exactly. So it encompasses everything. The psychology, like medical Qigong psychology is really like my thing.
Yeah.
So it's like Dr. Leon Hammer wrote a great book about it back in the day. He's a German, which I thought was interesting when I
Oh,
listened
isn't
to
it?
the German new medicine stuff.
Dude, it's also interesting. There's something really unique about Germany, man,
Yeah,
where
I
like
agree.
some of the most wise people have come from
Agreed.
Germany.
Agreed.
Like, what is that?
I really don't know.
It's also like, it's so interesting.
It's like Yeah, that I can't say that I haven't thought the same thing a multitude of times.
Yeah.
And I don't have an explanation.
Yeah, it's interesting. It like just calls into question, like, I don't want to get into a rabbit trail on this, but like World War II, like, is there some that Germany had so much esoteric knowledge and that like wanting to put a squash on that? I don't know.
No, I mean,
pure speculation.
They definitely, yeah, of course. And same for me. Like I've tried to learn enough about that situation to where I have a couple insights, but they're not holistic.
No, they're not.
I do know that it's possible that he being like, let's say Germany was thrown under the bus.
Yeah.
By the rest of Europe for financial reasons, essentially.
Yes.
And I believe that resonates truth with me.
Same.
And what I know about Germany and its connection with other places, like energetically and also culturally through like the deeper traditions, like even Iran.
Yeah.
And Syria. There's these connections there that I can't explain, but I can see them and I can feel them.
Yeah.
Those cultures, they also have they have all this wisdom. They also have the proclivity to be a little radical. Like there's all these things that seem to be kind of overlapping.
It's
even
interesting.
Though from a perspective, you'd be like, they're nothing alike.
Yeah. It's so
I wonder if it's
man.
language based too. Like we talk about with English being so like limiting in some ways, even though I don't want to like use that as a crutch.
No, for sure.
But like German is a beautiful language in the way that they have like 12 different nuanced words for one thing.
Yep.
You know, and it could be that just stimulates a refinement.
Yeah, maybe.
Like,
I don't know.
Like
That's
if
interesting.
language can do one thing, I'm sure it can do the other.
Oh,
like
yeah, totally.
So taking that energy that you would use to circulate around your own micro and macrocosmic orbits, being able to safely take that out, use it, and put it back in.
Cool.
That's medical Qigong in a nutshell.
So cool.
And then you learn how to tune the voids.
Mm-hmm.
So we affect the solid organs, even though they're not true, they have voids. But we affect the solid organs through the hollow organs by percussing. And interestingly enough, so we percuss with energy, with light energy, and with sounds. We use it all. That's the thing I love about it. There's nothing wasted in medical Qigong. We're using our sounds, we're using our intentions, we're using our bioelectrical field, we're using our sounds. I mean, we're using our colors.
Is there chanting or mantras associated with it sometimes?
It sounds. So like,
sounds. Okay.
Yeah, like different sound. Like for the lungs, when I'm cleansing lungs, like a shh, 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 shh. It sounds that resonate and you can feel them. So when we train, we make the sound and we feel the body. Shh, shh.
Yeah, I like that.
Ooh.
Similar to what Eileen does with Sing the Body Electric.
Yeah. No, for
Have
sure.
you seen her do the Sing
Oh
the
yeah,
Body
I have.
Electric
I've
thing?
read her books. Like I love it. Yeah.
It's
I mean,
cool.
I read some of her stuff when I was first training because I was like,
That's
the body
cool.
electric. Yeah. But you can feel it. So if you make the
Ooh. Yeah, you totally do. You feel it.
yeah. So you're stimulating and you're vibrating those organs, but we're using all of our natural resources that we have at our disposal to modulate those voids. For instance, if we go to the liver, we do differential diagnosis. We see its condition. Is this attenuated or overloaded? We're trying to get it to be ideal resistance.
Yeah.
And we're tuning it to a value that we train to recognize. So we train to recognize a Kelly Green liver that's full of benevolence and kindness. You know, we train that. And once you know what that feels like, you actually ask, like, show me the liver. And you'll feel it drop into your hand. We go under the body, on the back.
Mm-hmm.
We treat a lot of the organs from the back.
So they're on a table.
They're on a table.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, traditional medical Qigong table treatments, it's about a 2-hour process where you go, you do, first of all, it's very important, you know, and a lot of energy workers, and I say this with no judgment, but we, in medical Qigong, will get a lot of people coming over from other similar modalities that don't train the protective measures for both the patient and the doctor and end up going nuts.
Interesting.
Because, and I say
believe
that
it.
loosely, but end up having psychological and really energetic disorders because they're taking on other people's energies and they're also having patients that don't do well because they're projecting those onto them.
Yeah.
And training to make those vortexes that take all of that and how to seal them and open them, that's medical Qigong.
That's cool,
It's how to
man.
do this stuff responsibly without draining your life force, because then you can't do anything anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, so to build that all up, just to irresponsibly play with it. So that's why it's energy skill. It really is. And anyone can do it. That's the thing. Anyone can do it.
I love that.
And have just as much success or not, depending on if they allow themselves to do it if they allow that to flow.
I want to get you back on to talk, like maybe we need to do a whole other episode related to medical Qigong.
Sure.
Dude,
Yeah, sure. It's vast.
Yeah.
It's so
Reese,
vast.
how long have we been going? I haven't looked at my notes once. Over 3 hours. That's what I thought. Dude.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which is great. This is so great,
Yeah.
man. Well, I guess like the last thing I want to explore, because I want to make sure I do right by you. I would love for you to share about like what you're working on with the fertile current and the direction your farm is heading.
Yeah.
Is that
Awesome.
cool?
That's awesome. Yeah, I'd love to talk about that. Yeah, so our farm as of now, we've like this last couple months have made a really like, it's a difficult decision to make. Not hard to make, I guess, hard to actualize in the sense that as a farmer, you start in the beginning, you start planting crops, right? And your work my work, anyone's work with agriculture is so far in advance. So like if you're wanting to harvest crops in summer, you're planting them in early spring. If you're wanting to harvest crops in fall, you're planting those in early summer type stuff.
Yeah.
So your work for what you're going to yield, your work for that's all mostly in the front end, right? And then there's work on the back end for sure for harvesting and cleaning, but most of the financial output and energetic output are in the front end. So like you really have to make that decision once you haven't gone out and put a bunch of spring crops out, because then what you do, you're kind of like, well, now I want to see this through. And there's also, I'll be honest, there's like I myself will still find patterns, emotional patterns that I'm like, even though you become aware of these things, you're not free from it.
No, you're not. And
you're just in a little better position.
That's why the biggest red flag is someone's like, yeah, I'm fully healed. I'm like,
no,
dog.
Man.
No.
If you tell me you're a master, then I definitely know you're not. Like it might have been questioned before, and now I know. Right. Because, and also what a sad place to be.
Right.
Like, again, you want to be more healed than not healed, but there's a little bit of that's that potential difference that motivates us to refine ourselves and get closer to God and each other.
Amen.
And the God
Which
within ourselves.
Which is the whole point of this experience.
The whole point of this human experience. Right. So if that's the point, then that's means to an end. But so our farm has been addicted to selling vegetables, and we're finally breaking that addiction. But like I said, it takes forethought. For the last 3 seasons, we've kind of been looking at this direction of not quitting growing or farming, but doing it I already do tons of research there, but as a working farm, how you go about that's different than if you're purely research, because your agenda is to harvest these crops that the restaurants will buy.
Totally.
Right? So I'm growing certain things based upon my market's proclivity. I'm growing certain amounts based on what I can sell and not sell. So all the things are guided by that, even though I'm doing really great experiments within.
But when you're free of that, you can really go berserk on.
And that's where we're going. So we finally, literally, I planted all my spring crops out this year for restaurants. I made it till May, which isn't very long. And when I got back from elementals, literally like that was such an amazing event. And I got back from it. I had a lot of good energy from that, like that I just picked up too. And I was like, man, I'm just feeling really motivated to like cut some patterns, not because of the event, but just on the heels of it. And I was like, man, I think it's time. I think we need to like let our customers know that like, also they've kind of all sucked since 2020. Like they've kind of all sucked. I'll be honest. Like, and that's okay if they hear that. Like, I love y'all, but y'all sucked. And like, it wasn't cool anymore. Like then not only was it like mental, but like they stopped buying so much. During that time, they took so many shortcuts and outsourced so many things to different places, like buying produce from like a commercial depot. Garbage. I mean, it's bad. I've been in there. It's bad. Yeah. Bad. And it's poisonous. Like it doesn't even look good and it's poisonous. Like, what's you going? I get it if it like looks beautiful at least, but no, it's like nothing about it is redeemable if it's cheap as sin. Like it's like, man, okay. So they got used to those things because they weren't really doing their normal stuff. Yeah. And then when things reopened back to normal, it never did. They just
stuck with that.
And they might have gone back 30% and never went back. So like places I sold thousands to a week bought a couple $100.
Damn.
So it also became like, I ain't even, and then I know what happened. This is what happened. Right after elementals, I was full of energy, but I got a text trying to discuss the price of heads of lettuce that I have been selling for the same price for 4 years to this one spot. All of a sudden, I figured out they had hired a consultant. And this because they're failing, because they're cutting all the things they used to do out that brought the business. which is all the quality of food. So I realized it was a consultant that kind of told them like, oh, this should cost less. Well, what should?
Right.
Like that's a relative term. Especially when folks will spend like $20 on a cocktail that deteriorates their health. And I'm not judging it, but that's a priority for you then. If restoration is a priority, you would spend the money on that. You know what I mean? So it's prioritizing your resources. That's fine to do. Everyone's going to do it. But they did it. And they prioritized without us. So it was a combination of like, not only I was already about to do it. Now you've given me the last little straw. I was like, okay, we're doing it.
We're out. I'm done.
So with joy and a heart full of love, we were like, I don't think we're going to offer you guys anything. If we're going to pull back, they were kind of shocked. And it was just kind of like, yeah, we wish you the best. We want you to be successful within your demographic. And you're saying that this lettuce is $1 a head too expensive or something. I'm not going to budge. I'd rather give it away. So I was like, I think we're at the right moment. Let's alter, let's pivot. So the farm is now fully open for research. So I can now collaborate with like Topher, people that I want to work with.
Cool.
And do plots just for them with very specific.
To see how things work with some of their ideas. Yeah.
And I've been farming there for, like I said, this will be going on our 15th season. So I know that land.
That's cool.
I know what the compounding variables are versus some new variable.
Yeah.
That's really important in agricultural research.
Makes sense.
So yeah, you really need years in one location with the same soil, the same general conditions at least. I mean, soil changes, but you could take a soil test, and it'll be one thing, and then days later show different results. It's a moment in time. You're snapshotting like a blood test kind of that moment. But yeah, you need years in place for the agricultural resource in the same soil so that you can really delineate the compounding variables from what you're adding new into your experiments. So it's been really helpful. Those years of being there with my nose to the ground, like just set the table for me to be able to do that work there. So it was all necessary. These are all like just phases of one thing. But with the Fertile Current on the equipment side of things, we have put out a new website as of just a few days ago. Been working on that for a while. It's way more simple. We had 8 different models of antennas on the previous website, and it was confusing folks on when it was appropriate to use which one. So we've simplified the offerings. We've made the website a little more educational, got a frequently asked questions, just all the stuff that I thought was missing. And also trying to refine the language always to where it's the most poignant and kind of clear for folks that are new to it. But I'm also here for the folks that are in the nitty-gritty side of it. So you kind of have to cover it all.
Of course.
So yeah, trying to give.
Or you can send him this episode since we went nearly 4 hours.
What'd you say?
You could send him this episode since we went nearly 4 hours.
I know. But you'll find that, I have a YouTube channel full of videos, and you'll just find that a lot of times people just want to talk to you and figure it out. And I'm down with that.
Because they want to ask their own questions, right. like, well, what about this?
Inevitably, they will encounter. I usually tell people, watch the videos, go and consume all the media I've put out, and then we'll still talk, because inevitably you will encounter a variable that I couldn't even know about, because it's your thing in your spot.
Well, it's also like the more you learn, the more you don't know.
Yeah.
So the more questions you have about how all this stuff works.
Well, that's what's helped me is the 450 times I've helped people with really weird, because then I get to learn that, and the next time that comes up, I've already dealt with that issue.
Yeah.
So it's helped me catalog a really comprehensive installation side of this work, which is the part that really can be you can buy the equipment and then it shows up at your house and you got to put it in.
Yeah.
So really helping people hone in that process and provide all the little accessories so they don't have to, that's another thing. I have installation kits on the new website. So people can get all the little accessories. That was just a process. I had to figure that out, because I would tell people to get certain things and they wouldn't. And then they'd have a complication. And then it would be well, you didn't do what I said, but I'm still going to try to help you from where you're at now.
Yeah.
But now I can be buy that thing. Yeah. That's the best option, because it just is.
Helpful.
It's the easiest, best option. So now people can buy everything in one place except for a pole or post that they're going to use, because that doesn't make sense. And the only other thing I don't provide is the galvanized steel wire, because it's so cheap and available everywhere that it makes no sense for me to try to make $1 on it or ship it or anything. So there's a couple components that people can source anywhere. But the Fertile Current is in a phase of expansion as far as trying to work, or I am working with some folks outside of the US as like somewhat of an ambassador for the brand. Just a couple folks that I've talked to many people over the years about that, but there's two folks that have really like stuck out to me. So a guy in Portugal, also named Chris, and then my friend Malik in Jamaica. And really, I'd like to expand the Fertile Current Jamaica and make that much bigger. Working with, I've been in communication with Chief Curry up in the Maroon community to expand to the farmers up there. And we were about to do something right before the hurricane.
Interesting.
Then it was like, boom, it was mayhem for a while.
Yeah.
They're doing an epic job, but now that it's settling back down, I think it's time to get this stuff back out because the farmers there just had to recoup.
What a fertile place. So it's perfect to have the fertile current.
Yeah. And like we said, some of the things that come from my early days there through this whole time. So cool. I want to give back to that area, what they gave me. But anyway, just continuing to refine and grow it, man. It's a very organic process. And collaborations are big this year. So working with several other people that I'm very excited about. And just living life and trying to like be a decent person in the process, man.
You're doing it, man. You're doing it. Man, this 4 hours went by so fast.
Lightning.
So fast.
Yeah.
We for those who are listening, watching, I usually take multiple breaks throughout an episode. This one, I just got up to pee real quick and that was it.
It's true. Yeah, right?
That's it, man. I could kick it with you for a long time.
Same, Alec. Well, I think this is the first of hopefully many interactions.
Absolutely. Yeah. This was amazing, man. Thank you so much, Chris.
Thank you, brother. I appreciate what you having me on and then your greater body of work for what you do.
Thank you, bro. I really
appreciate
that.
So welcome. Thank you, Reese.